Well, hello, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, Menesong. A lewd, degen, outer professional multiverse wizard, specializing world building and Waifusmith. Now, floating by my shoulder is Grammary. Succubus is always open to game our acolytes. This session is for after the stream, because right now, time for some more studying. And I'm messing with the background audio. There we go. Let me just... I guess this... yeah. This is again Against the Storm original soundtrack as background audio. I just love this game too much, and I'm gonna be listening to it until I get sick of it. I also need to finish Myth so I can actually go back and play it. But, hang up, before we open up the PDF again, I just wanna check where's the last page that I was. Where was the page that I stopped in? Because I did not make note of that and I forgot already. Why is the quality so bad? I'm checking the video actually. I'm checking the VOD to see where's the last page that I stopped. There we go. And I can't see this page. I can't see the page because my pretty body is in front of the page number. Okay, I'll grab a text. And if anyone should say, okay. And if anyone should say, there we go, this is the page that we were on. I need to finish this. I need to finish this soon and fast because I need to read other books, honestly. I need to read other books. Now, where exactly did I stop? Oh, here's a quote over here. Oh yes, I have a file full of quotes. Let me... properly adjusting this. Oh yes, the music is could be a bit lower actually. Where is my... I have so many windows open. I hate this. I hate having to adjust audio every stream for every soundtrack because the songs do not have standardized audio. I wish I could just program something that does it for me. There we go. Now it has audio in the proper levels that I like. I think the audio for streams like this has to be slightly lower than usual. Yes, so we can have a more relaxing atmosphere. Also, I need to add rain sounds. Oh yes, that's one thing that I like. Rainy mood. An hour's look. There we go. That was nice. Nice. Wait, just a tiny bit lower. Alright. That's alright. Okay. Now, where exactly did I stop? I guess we can start again from the beginning of the chapter since it's over here and we are in this page. Reading somewhere in this page. Oh, this is a short chapter. Okay. Concerning generosity and meanness. Messing then with the first of the characteristics mentioned above, it would be nice to have the reputation of being generous. Nevertheless, generosity exercised in a way that does not bring you the reputation for it injures you. Huh? It would be nice to have the reputation of being generous, but generosity exercised in a way that does not bring you the reputation for it injures you. Oh, okay, yeah. Feels, yeah. It is another thing that feels not very virtuous. If you're gonna be generous, make it known that you're generous. Don't be generous in silence, which is kind of like the opposite of what people would encourage out of you. If you're being generous, like don't really brag. Just be generous out of the goodness of your heart. Don't use it as another tool. But of course, Machiavelli encourages you to do the exactly opposite of that, because even if people know you're not being generous out of the goodness of your heart, that you want something back into the reputation of it, it is still gives you reputation. It still helps someone. It still makes connections. So there is some cons to that, but there's also quite a lot of goods of pros that come from being known as being generous. One shows generosity honestly, and as it should be not shown, it may not become known, and you will not avoid the criticisms of its opposite, meanness. Therefore, anyone wishing to maintain the reputation of being generous has to keep on being more and more generous. As a result, a prince thus inclined will consume all his property in such acts. In the end, he will have to unnecessarily exploit his people and tax them, and do everything he can to get money. This will soon make him disliked by his subjects, and becoming poor, he will be little valued by anyone. Thus, with his generosity, having offered many and rewarded few, he is affected by the very first trouble. Recognizing this himself and wishing to draw back from it, he runs at once into the criticism of being mean. Okay. Actually, this one is interesting to decipher. This paragraph. I should be using the mouse. Actually, yes, you can see the mouse, yes. I should be using the mouse to follow the line. Being generous has to keep on being more and more generous. Okay, then I'm not exactly sure I agree with this passage, but it kind of makes sense. Yes, if you want to maintain a reputation of generosity, you need to always be giving something. Otherwise, people will quickly forget your generosity. And when people are actually expected you to be generous and you aren't because you can't afford to be generous all the time, yes, your reputation will quickly wane. Will quickly dissipate away. Very interesting. As a result, a prince who is inclined will consume all his properties in such acts. In the end, he'll have necessary this will make soon his dislike by his job, becoming poor, Thus, with his generosity having been offended many and rewarded few, he is affected by the very first trouble. Recognizing this himself and wishing to draw back from it, he runs at once into the criticism of being mean. Okay, yes, if people expect you to be generous and you aren't generous, they are going to be kind of mad. Likely mad. It is very shallow for them to be mad that you aren't being generous, but they're gonna be like, yeah, why are you generous with that person and not me? Why are you giving him preferential treatment and not me? Huh? What, is he better than me? Is he a better person than me? You like him more than me? Yes, it makes sense actually. Commencing then with the first, it'll be nice to have the reputation of generous, never deny generous in a way that does not bring you the reputation for it. Generosity endures you. And if you won't show generosity honestly, and as it should be shown, it may not become known. You will not avoid the criticisms of its opposite, meanness. What? I'm not exactly sure I understand that passage, but I'll mark this passage because I like it. So assuming it is likely. Okay, I actually need to add an explanation then, because of my because people will come to expect generosity. Let me open my notes. Let me add this to my note. Context. People will expect you to be generous. Alright. People will expect you to be generous even when you aren't. People expect you to be generous even when you aren't. Even when you aren't. People expect you to be generous even when you aren't. I kind of lost my train of thought. People expect you to be generous even when you can't. Even when you can't, and will become offended. You can't be generous with everyone. Everyone. That's the important part. Generosity is not a good thing to be. Not very politically useful. Or a priest not being able to exercise this virtue of generosity in such a way that it is recognized, except to his cause, if he is wise, or not to fear the reputation of being mean. In time, he'll come to be highly regarded, seeing that with his economy, his revenues are enough that he can defend himself against all attacks, and is able to carry out projects without placing a heavy load on his people. Thus, he exercises generosity towards all from whom he does not take, who are many, and meanness towards those to whom he does not give, who are few. Okay, okay. Now this is another interesting, how do you call it? Brain mind melting, brain wrapping. There's a specific word that I keep forgetting. Brain fucking. I guess it's brain fucking, but it's not exactly brain fucking. Please not being able to exercise this virtue of generosity in such a way that is recognized, except to his cause, if he's wise, or not to fear the reputation of being mean. Okay, what exactly? Sometimes. Whoa. Hello, Billy. Hello, cute bucket. How are you doing? We are being nerds over here. No man kissing, unfortunately. Unfortunately, once a week there is a stream, there is no man kissing, no boy kissing, and no girl kissing even. EP. Hopefully, now I do hope that my voice will be able to make you sleep. Though, it'll be good for your mind if you pay attention to the lecture. It'll be good for your mind for you to pay attention to the lecture. But I will actually be happy if you do fall asleep to my voice. I want to make someone fall asleep to my voice at least once in my life. That'll be nice. If he's wise, oh, not your fear. Okay, at this passage, I don't exactly understand this. What does he mean by this? Thank you for the follow, Onited Ka. Onited Ka. You've now sold your soul to Grammary. He's going to visit you after every scene for a bit of life force milking. But don't worry. He has learned how not to overmilk people by accident and kill them. Just wish you good luck and have fun. Now, this passage. This passage. What the fuck is he talking about? Stop getting in the way of the passage. Yes, back to the passage. Means not being able to exercise this virtue of generosity in such a way that it is recognized. Up to his cause, if he's wise, I'm not too fear of being reputed. Okay, I guess he's saying something along the lines of if you can't be generous because you don't have money, then you really shouldn't be being looked as being mean. Really shouldn't fear having the reputation of being mean. In time, comma, there should be a comma over here. Like there's a lot of commas missing on this PDF, on this text. Like the translator has a thing about natural commas sometimes. I feel he's a bit too shy to use commas when they actually look okay. I know that people sometimes get a bit too sometimes writers get a bit too shy of making too many commas because it looks weird and off, but please do. If there's too many commas, then rephrase it. In time, he will come to be highly regarded, in that with his economy, his revenues are enough that he can defend himself. Okay. Does he exercise his generosity towards all from whom he does not take? Okay. Yes, he should not. If you don't have the money, don't be afraid to have the reputation of being mean and what's the word for mean? Evil? Not evil. But harsh. Mean and harsh. Because if you keep the finances on your territory in order, people will actually believe you're being generous because you're not quote unquote generous, because you aren't trying to extort them for money for projects all the time. Since you have your own economy in order, so you don't need to. You can do whatever you want comfortably, and then people will be happy. They'll be more happy with you being harsh and tied with money than they'll be when you're generous and poor. Harsh, tied with money, but rich is better than generous and poor. Does he exercise his generosity to all? We're not many. and meanness towards to whom he does not give or feel. This is, it's kind of a difficult quote without context, but it's a nice quote, so I'm gonna... I kind of like it. He exercises generosity towards the people that he does not take, who are many, and exercises meanness towards those who he does not give, who are few. So yes, overall, by pure math, you're doing good. By pure math, you're doing good. We have not seen great things done in our time except by those who have been considered mean. The rest have failed. What? We have not seen great things done in our time except by those who have been considered mean. The rest have failed. Now that is a quote. Now that is a quote. Only people who are mean have succeeded in life. The people who are generous have all failed. That is a quote. Like, I think the church will be very... I think the church itself would very, very... Very... How do you say it? Would complain a lot, will protest a lot about this statement. Because a lot of their saints and etc. are based on people being generous and doing things exactly out of their own goodwill. So... So even I can actually say, because there are some good people out there who sacrifice their life for the greater good. Without being mean. They made some difficult choices, yes, but they're not mean and harsh in the way that Machiavelli is implying. Now, you have not seen the rest of it. Pope Julius, moving on. Pope Julius II was assisted in becoming Pope by the reputation for generosity. However, he did not try to keep it up afterwards. When he made war on the King of France, he made many wars without imposing any extraordinary tax on his subjects. For he supplied his additional expenses out of his continued care with money. Okay, tangent, but I almost just yawned. Like, it's been a while since I've actually yawned on stream. Do I... What about my yawn counter? Yes, 121 times. I've been improving my sleep schedule and things like that, and being more tight with my sleep schedule. And it has actually stopped making me yawn. It's been quite a while since I yawned. Just now, I almost tried to yawn, but I easily held it back. And I had such a problem with reading on stream because I was trying to yawn all the time. It's quite curious. Anyway, back to the story, away from the tangent. Thank you for the head patting, Valerie. Everyone, Valerie just head patted chat. She has shown appreciation to everyone here. Please thank Valerie from the goodness of her heart. Also, thank you for head patting Gremory. She appreciates it a lot. She always likes the simulation. And thank you for the head pat too, Valerie. I appreciate that a lot. Though I have my hat on, I can still feel it quite well through my hat. Now, where was I? Tangent off. All the pats. Yes, you did not. Yeah, I did not see you head pat the dogs yesterday, so I had to go to sleep soon after. But still, I did not see you head pat dogs. You're just paying your tribute. You're just paying your own tribute of dog head patting, I guess. Simple one. Anyway, he made many wars without imposing any extraordinary tax on his subjects. For he supplied his additional expenses out of his continued care with money. The present King of Spain would not have undertaken or conquering so many difficult adventures he had been considered generous. A prince, therefore, provided that he does not have to rob his subjects, can defend himself, does not become poor and despised, and is not forced to exploit the people, ought not to worry about having a reputation for being mean, because it's one of those bad characteristics which will enable him to govern. Hello, Undead Phoenix, what is that emote? Oh, it's a lurk emote. Thank you for the lurk emote. It's a cute lurk emote, actually. Anyway. And thank you for the lurk too, Zeph. I hope you have a happy lurking. Anyway. What even does about? Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's just history. It's just, Machiavelli is just talking about history. Using an example. I kind of like it that he does use examples of things that actually happen to make his points known. But I still do not actually agree with his idea of generosity. Like, yeah, it's like too binary. It's like you either generous or you're a penny pincher, or something of that kind. So, yeah, I guess it makes sense for the he's trying to explain things for a prince himself. So he's trying to. It's being slightly a bit exaggerated just to drive the point further. And also in context, it was rather a brutal time for him. He lived in rather brutal times, so he couldn't actually be more what do you say, nuanced with his opinions. It all makes sense in context, but now for me in modern times, and also in the context of my stories, really. In the context of my stories, which is the reason why I'm reading, so I can get more it is the reason why I'm studying books, so that I can learn more about politics that I can implement in my stories. In my stories, there are gods, actual gods, that look down upon you. So these things that the Machiavelli are encouraging, it's interesting for characters who are non-believers, characters who are more of a low piety, I would say. But for the rest of the people, it is not that useful, I guess. Or I guess heretics. Yes, I guess a heretical society would have, in my world, a heretical society would have more. A heretical society would have a behavior more closely to what he's describing. And I guess, yes, that is. I do have a second story that the gods are less present, so it does mean that they'll be more Machiavellian in that world. But yes, it's still very useful, these things for me. Just as my main story, not to use my backup story. It is. Now moving on, next paragraph. And if any should say, Caesar obtained an empire by generosity, and many others have reached their highest positions by having been generous and by being considered so, I answer, either you're a prince in a fact or on the way to becoming one. In the first case, thus generosity is dangerous. In the second case, it is very necessary to be generous. And Caesar was one of those who wished to become powerful in Rome. But if he had survived after becoming so and had not controlled his expenses, he would have destroyed his government. And if anyone should reply, many have been princes, and have done great things with armies who have been considered very generous. I reply, either a prince spends that which is his own, or his subjects, or else that of others. In the first case, he ought to be careful. In the second, he ought not to neglect any opportunity for generosity. And to the prince who goes forth with his army, supporting it by taking what he finds around him, handling that which belongs to others, thus generosity is necessary. Otherwise, he will not be followed by soldiers. You can be a ready giver of that which is neither yours nor your subjects, as were Cyrus, Caesar, and Alexander, because it does not take away your reputation if you waste what belongs to others, but adds to it. It is only wasting your own possession that dangerous. Okay, this is it does not take away your reputation if you waste what belongs to others, but adds to it. It is only wasting your own possession that injures you. Now that is an interesting quote. Waste the money of others being generous, not yours. It is only wasting your own possessions that injures you. This is precisely the opposite what someone virtuous would encourage you to be. Be generous with your own money. Do not mess with your monies of others, but be generous with it. But Machiavelli encourages exactly the opposite, just because it brings you more how do you say it? How do you call it? More advantages, more opportunities. No, more advantages. It brings you more advantages to well, it's not exactly the word advantage. Can I go into the thesaurus? When I'm writing, I always have the thesaurus open because I need a precise word for me to convey what I want. Benefits, yes, more benefits. That is the word I was looking. I think. Profits, yes, profits too. Profits and benefits. Use the money of others to be generous, and save your own. whenever you can. Now, where were we? Moving on, final paragraph of this chapter. Nothing disappears so rapidly as generosity. Okay, yes, this is another quote that I agree with. Nothing disappears so rapidly, because, like I said before, it is a matter of perception. No, not a matter of perception. It's a matter of expectations. If you're expected to be generous, people will look at you and say, "Why are?" When you can't be generous, people are gonna be look like, why were you generous with that person, not with me? That person better. So yes, it is a very delicate situation to be too generous, because either you become like a saint, a frugal saint that does not have any sort of luxury for yourself, or your reputation for being generosity is something very fleeting and short. You could call that a bit cynical, but I find that to be more realistic. Depending on the context. I mean, if you're in a cutthroat world, in a world of cutthroats like a Machiavelli's, yeah, it is. The interpretation of generosity is quite fleeting, quite short. But in personal relationships, yeah, you have a bit of a stronger history. The history of your actions is a bit more stronger in personal relationships. Now, even while moving on, even while you exercise it, you lose the power to do so, and so become either poor or despised, or else, in avoiding poverty, you exploit the people and become hated. Yeah, this is exactly what this part. You either become poor or despised. That is exactly what's being talking about. You either become a frugal saint, or people start to hate you because you're only selectively generous. In avoiding poverty, you exploit the people and become hated. A prince should guard himself above all things against being despised and hated. Generosity leads you to both. Therefore, it is wiser to have a reputation for meanness, which brings criticism without hatred, than to be forced through seeking a reputation of generosity to get a reputation for exploiting people, which causes criticisms with hatred. It's just as this how do you call it? Yeah, you wanna seek a reputation for being generous so hard that you're gonna exploit the people. I just don't agree that it's actually gonna be something that happens. You're gonna become poor, and most people who want to be generous are good enough at heart that they're just gonna become poor and become sort of a saint, a frugal saint, or people are just gonna criticize them. They're not gonna start exploiting people just to get more money, just so they can give away generously. That doesn't really follow. That's not a that is a non sequitur. That does not follow. Does not have logical following. Buenas, Manasom. Como vai todo? Hello, Dynasty War. Doing fine. I'm happier now that I'm being nerd on the afternoon instead on a Friday night. Now I can actually rest on a Friday night, like I should, instead of being a nerd studying on Friday nights. Yes. Today's been quite happy, though I had a bit of a headache before starting stream, so I was kind of worried, but it has passed, at least so far. The headache has passed, but most of my headaches are from eye strain, from writing and playing and staying on the computer too much. So I'm worried it might actually come back during the stream, but we'll see. I'll try not to push myself too much. Thank you, Dynasty War. I'm doing fine, at least for now. And I hope you are doing fine too, as is what I hope for everyone else in chat. Because this is a cute little space for cute little people to have fun and be comfy, and also be flirty with me if you do so desire. Anyway, moving on. Chapter 17, concerning cruelty and kindness, and whether it is better to be loved than fear. Coming now to the other qualities mentioned above, every prince ought to desire to be considered kind and not cruel. Nevertheless, he ought to take care not to misuse this kindness. Desire, is it Shezare? Let me actually take a look. How do the Canucks would pronounce this?
Cesare.
Cesare. Okay. In Portuguese, C will be Cesare. Cesare Borgia. But we're speaking a Italian name, and we're speaking in English, so to be understood, it's better to just speak in the English way, and maybe add a bit of an Italian accent. Cesare Borgia. Cesare Borgia was considered cruel, but notwithstanding, his cruelty calmed the Romagna, unified it, and restored it to peace and loyalty. And if this is carefully considered, he will be seen to have been much more merciful than the Florentine people who, to avoid a reputation for cruelty, permitted Pistoia to be destroyed. Therefore, a prince, so long as he keeps his subjects united and loyal, ought not to mind the criticism of cruelty. By making an example of a few people, he will be more merciful than those who, through too much mercy, allow rebellions to arise, from which follow murders or robberies. Those are likely to injure the whole people, while those killings which are commanded by the prince only affect the individual. Okay, yeah, this is something I agree with, actually. When you're a leader, you have to make tough decisions for the good of the people. And even though you'll not individually for yourself do something like that, you need to think on a bigger scale. Some people need to die. Some people need to be killed. Some people need to be destroyed. Some examples need to be made so that peace can last. That is kind of an unfortunate reality of humanity. That is an unfortunate reality. Now, can I actually make a quote out of this paragraph in a storage piece? And if no, it is just history. Therefore, a prince, so long as he keeps his justice, ought not to mind the criticism of cruelty. Yes, sometimes you need cruelty so you can keep order. Okay, I could get either this or just the whole quote, or just this whole part of the paragraph. I think I'll just highlight everything because this gives a bit of context. I am saving my quotes on a place. Not sure why I'm saving. I'm not sure exactly if I'm gonna read it again, but it's nice. It's nice to make quotes so you can focus on what's the important part. Whenever you're reading a text and you want to gradually absorb it little by little, try to find the little sentences that are the most important of them, because they contain in resume the point of everything, the point that the author is trying to make. So whenever you're trying to study something, try to find these crux sentences, these crucial sentences that explain the crux of the matter. I just wanted to say crux. It's a cool word. Anyway, and of all princes, it is impossible for the new prince to avoid the reputation for cruelty. This is because new states are full of dangers. Yeah, when your power base is unstable and you have too many threats to your power, too many competitors to your power, you need to deal with them. That is the reality of being a leader, of being in power. So you can't really afford to be generous, to be merciful, until you're more stable yourself. Well, I guess in modern times, if you're like a politician, you're not gonna go out there murdering people. You're not gonna go out there murdering people, but if you have the opportunity to deal with your opponent, then you should. Nevertheless, a prince ought to be slow to believe and to act, and should not show fear. Yeah, fortune favors the bold. Oh, slow to believe, okay. That is interesting. Wait, what? Nevertheless, a prince ought to be slow to believe and to act, To not show fear. Why is slow to act? Fortune favors the bold. Why is slow to act? You should proceed in a calm manner with care and concern for others. Okay. Okay, I wouldn't use slow as a way to describe act. As a way to qualify how you act. I use careful. Be careful. Be cautious. Be calm, yes. Be calm, but not slow. Slow feels like it's a negative. And concern for others. You should proceed in a calm manner with care and concern for others. So that too much confidence does not make him careless, and too much distrust does not make him always suspicious. Relating to this, a question arises. Would it be better to be loved than feared, or feared than loved? It may be answered that one should wish to be both, but because it's difficult to unite them in one person, it is much safer to be feared than loved, when only one is possible. Okay, sometimes when I'm reading something, I just gloss over things and do not pay attention. Well, sometimes I need to reread things because reading things out loud take effort, and sometimes things just sometimes the words just not enter my brain. Maybe answer that one should wish to be both, but because it is difficult to unite them in one person, it's much safer to be feared than loved, when only one is possible. The reason for this is that in general, men are ungrateful, inconstant, false, cowardly, and greedy. Well, that is a way to see people. As long as you succeed, they are yours entirely. They will offer you their blood, property, life, and children when the need is far distant. But when the need approaches, they turn against you. A prince who relies entirely on their promises has neglected other ways of protecting himself will be ruined. Friendships are obtained by payments and not by greatness of nobility of mind. May indeed be earned, but they are not secure, and in time of need cannot be relied upon. Men are less worried about offending one who is loved than one who is feared. Love is preserved by the link of gratefulness, which, owing to the weak nature of man, is broken at every opportunity for advantage. But fear preserves you by a fear of punishment, which never fails. Okay, this is a long one, and I kind of like the part at the beginning. Kinda like the part at the beginning. In general, okay, yeah, greedy. As long as you succeed, they are yours entirely. They offer their blood, property, life, and children when the need is far distant. But when the need approaches, they turn against you. People are generous as long as they have surplus, but when they are people are generous and loyal as long as they have surplus. But in the end, they always look after themselves first. So this is why you should it is an unstable situation where if you rely on people and then trouble happens, then everything falls apart. Like, I understand his point here. If you rely on people and trouble starts, and you will likely happen, because that is how life works. You'll likely have trouble. Then it's just a matter of time before you die. Just a matter of time before you lose it all. So Machiavelli is always encouraging you to be independent, to be secure, to be stable, to have things that are reliable, that can save you from trouble, because it is a constant of life that trouble will happen to the overwhelming number of people. So everyone, yes, there's just that. I kind of lost myself in my own thought. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens. Yes, it is an unstable situation, so you need to make it more stable. So you need to make certainties, assurances that when trouble happens, you will have something to defend yourself. I guess that's just it. There's nothing more deeper to be thought about this, because people will look after themselves first. People will always look after themselves first. Oh yes, this one is out. People are less worried about offending one who is loved than one who is feared. That is another interesting quote, and I agree. I agree. And I agree. People are more or less worried about offending you. They love if they rather than if they fear you. But it is also a delicate situation over here because fear makes people unstable and insecure. So you should be very careful with how you deal with this fear. Because if there's only fear, then I think did he already say something about fear? Let me look into my notes. Here. Always turn out that a foreigner would be brought in by those who are malcontent because of too much ambition or out of fear. I don't have much about fear though. Maybe he used a different word. But I do remember him talking about fear before. That too much fear will make people uncomfortable and they will always be looking at. And your subjects need to be feeling comfortable under your rule. So you give them a bit of fear and then you hold back. So if they go out of line, they can always remember that you can always go back to fear. So they'll try to keep in your good graces. But if you only have fear, they'll not feel comfortable. They will not feel comfortable being in your good graces, so they'll start to look to replace you. So yes, fear is how you start, but love is how you continue for a long time. It feels almost like it's an abusive relationship, though. It feels like it's almost like an abusive relationship. You start with fear, but then you show love. But then if they start to go out of line, you show fear again. That feels very abusive. Imagine someone like that. Imagine marrying someone like that. You go out of line and then start to make you fear again. Damn. Yeah, that is completely abusive. But when everything is well, everything is peachy and fine. But the first sign of trouble, they start to give you fear. Yeah, that is definitely an abusive relationship. But I guess it works because it is the thing that in abusive relationship it's kind of hard to go away from it. It's kind of hard to escape an abusive relationship. That is kind of a theme that I noticed. So it makes sense that it's so effective. It makes sense that it's the most effective strategy for you to remain in power, to be abusive. Well, yeah, it makes sense. You gotta abuse human psychology. It does make sense. You gotta abuse human psychology for you to remain in power. Because people aren't logical. And the ultimate goal is always to stay in power. Because you can't do anything if you don't have power. You can't even save people. You can't be even good. You can't be a good ruler if you are not a ruler. So power, staying in power always comes first. Problem is that the people who are in power generally do not have this sort of a mindset. They're just bad people. They're just bad people in the end. In the end, they just become bad people. Anyway, nevertheless, a prince ought... Let's continue. Nevertheless, a prince ought to encourage fear in such a way that if he does not win love, he avoids hatred. He can carry on very well being feared while he is not hated, which will always be as long as he keeps away from the property of his citizens and subjects and from the Roman. When it is... it is interesting that keeps away the property of his citizens and subjects and from their women. It is interesting. It is a quirk of the times that he has to add those qualifiers. Stay away from their women. What is your opinion of the book so far? Hello, I'll be one VIP. My opinion. Let me see. I'm a bit past the halfway point. I think I can quickly show this. I am on page... Can I move this, please? I am on page 26 out of 43. So I'm a bit halfway past the point, I guess. And I like it. Not in the way that inspires me, but I like it because he really is insightful. He really does... Machiavelli really does get into the more logical way of a staying in power. Everything makes sense. Everything he does makes sense. It makes too much sense, actually. It makes a frightening amount of sense because, like I just said, to remain in power, you need to be an abusive husband. So for you to stay in power, you need to have the heart to be an abusive person while not actually becoming a terrible person after. While doing that, it is fascinating in a horrifying way. Yeah, since he sort of foresees how modern politics, right, compared to how politics before was to be a good ruler is to have good morals, right? Yes, indeed. He makes a good point that good morals will make you ruin. You'll be your ruin to be good morals. The thing is, even this is the difficult part because you need to be evil. I agree with that. You need to make hard decisions. You need to make examples. You need to break morals, moral rules for you to stay in power. I mean, even if you're a good person, people are not logical. The way people react, people believe, they're not logical. So you need to be like that. But at the same time, how do you live? How do you live with what you've done? How do you stop yourself from corrupting yourself too much? You know, you're doing this for the power and for the good of the people, but where does it stop and where does it end? It feels cliche, but it is an actual question. It's crazy how people made his name synonymous with evil, though he's just speaking facts. Yeah, well, I won't say it's evil, but it is a special kind of brutal, and being Machiavellian is I believe. Well, it depends on your personal morals, though. The adjective being Machiavellian, I think it's called an adjective. Please don't quote me. I may be a writer, but I'm an amateur writer without any formal training in language. So, the adjective being Machiavellian. Oh, I think I can look into Merriam-Webster. I think it'll say if it's my. So it depends on your morals, but for me, being Machiavellian, Machiavellian. Oh, come on, Merriam-Webster. I like Merriam-Webster. It has a good. Okay, this is how you write it. Machiavellian. Adjective, yes, it is an adjective. It depends, how you see it depends a bit on your morals, because I don't find being Machiavellian evil. I find it to be brutal and ruthless. I think you're correct with saying it's an adjective, yes. The dictionary says so, so it is. Which has, in my opinion, it is brutal and ruthless, not evil. The adjective, but thing is, I'm concerned how you live with yourself after that. How you live with yourself after being so brutal and ruthless, because it does hurt. Like I'm an innocent doggo. Just imagining me being cruel to a random stranger just for something else, like ooh. I could not live with that. That'll gradually ruin my mind. That would gradually ruin my mind. It feels like a cliche, like I said. It feels like a cliche. Yeah, power corrupts. How do I did something bad for the good of the people? How do I live with this? But it's because a lot of people don't have to deal with this sort of thing. Most people don't have to deal with certain thing. But then you go into war. Like soldiers. Soldiers have to deal with this. Soldiers have to do some evil for the greater good. Quote unquote evil. Let's not get into the exact politics of modern wars and things like that, but you still need to do that. Imagine you're invaded. Imagine if you're being invaded. Let's not go into modern politics, but let's just imagine you're being invaded and you have to kill people. Imagine you found a spy and you found that someone trying to sabotage your weapons cache and kill your friends, and how do you deal with the spy? How do you take the information out of the spy? How do you protect your friends? Even if you're not a person in power, you still need to deal with those sort of things. You have power, you have to do evil things to keep safety, to keep the safety, to keep yourself alive, to keep your friends alive, to keep your families alive. So how do you deal with this? Now this is a more relatable thing that it is a common thing, PTSD and such. Yeah, I would not want to be any high positions of power. I would suffer, yes. So, but the question is there anyone who can stand being in high position of power? Does that person exist? How do we find this person? It feels like humanity is fated to be ruled by evil people, because only someone who has. Is it really that people are? Is it really that people that are evil that get you power, or the people become evil once they get you power? This is another question, guys. This is like nurture versus nature. Not that interesting though. Just another cliche, but it is a cliche because it's true. It's a constant in our lives. Yeah, killing people might not be evil, but it would still be horrifying knowing that you kill someone. Exactly. How do you live with that? Some people don't really think that they are evil though. We can easily rationalize that we are not being evil. Like the guards of Auschwitz. Like a lot of people that commit that, they were just there's the thing called the banality of evil, where it's pretty easy to rationalize your actions as yeah, I can do anything about it. Let's just continue being evil, whatever. I did something horrible. I participated to horrible things in life, but that's just life. I have no evil with myself. It's very easy to rationalize evil. Maybe you might want to compare this with Augustus' meditations. I need to read that book though. This is like the first actual book that I'm reading. Even though I'm a writer, I'm not very versed in literature myself. I need to read more books. I think I have it on my list. Let me take a look. Book list. Do I have a list of books? Where is my book? List of books. Reading streams. Did I add the meditations book? I think this is like the... Where is it? Where is it? Discourses of Living. No. Wait, what is that? I heard it. Wait, what is that? The meditation? Augustus' meditation. I heard about this book before. Did I not? Augustine, Saint of God. Oh, I don't think I have on my oh shit, ads are coming. Uh-oh. Augustus Meditations. Serious Marcus Aurelius. Okay. Another book. Oh yes, I heard about this book before, but I should add it to my list of books. Meditations by Augustus. By Augustus Aurelius. I need to read more books. I have a bunch of books that I need to read. The next one, I think I will... Is it about series of personal writings and recording his private notes to himself and ideas on Stoic philosophy. Oh, okay. Yes, I think this might be for later because Stoicism. Because the next book that I really need to read is about either espionage or about mercantilism. I need to read about mercantilism because for my stories, I'm reading these books for my stories, and the things that's more the three things that are relevant to the current arc is politics, espionage, and the market. Because there's gonna be like a political intrigue, espionage, and some economical war going on. So I need to read about these things. And also secret police. There will be a bit of secret police. I'll try to see what I can do with that, but that falls into espionage, I think. No, not really. Maybe fascism even. There's too many books. There's too many books that are relevant. I need to choose one, yes. But I think the next one will be about the mercantilism. I haven't read it, but I imagine it will be somewhat different from the message of the prince, since the Roman emperor at the time who could literally have anything he wanted, chooses to live a humble and stoic life. Okay. Yeah, no. But for the story that I'm writing, the main character is a lord himself, and he's like the chosen divine lord. So yes, he has the backing of the gods, but he still needs to make hard decisions and be Machiavellian himself. He wants to stay in power. So he does have a justification for being like that, but he's gonna have to get trouble himself a bit with some harsh decisions, and that's why I chose The Prince. It's like the perfect book for this part. Very interesting. Yes, but still. Yes, but still, I am not. I am, like I said, I am just a not trained writer. I became a writer by just pure force of will. Also, as are studying in 15 seconds, and also my stories are smut. My stories have more smut than Legend of Game of Thrones. My stories have more smut than Game of Thrones, but they have less smut than an actual hentai story. Yes. So temper that with your expectations. I'm a smut degen writer with writes fantasy with harems, but I like to put is like 80%, 70% plot, 30% smut, something like that. Maybe less plot, but it's a lot about world building. And ads are gonna start now, so I'm gonna do a 3 minutes break. I think I'll grab a snack even. Yeah, I just had some coffee. It's time for me to get a snack. See you guys. Ads starting soon. It says start already. Ads like takes a whole damn minutes for the ads to start. Like keep teasing me. Just start already so I can make the counter. Anyway, I do put a lot of content warnings on my stories because they are very non-mainstream. My stories are very non-mainstream. Okay, finally ads are here. Time for our snack. See you guys in 3 minutes. Alright, sorry for the delay, but I had to eat a snack and I had to brush my teeth after because I hated the taste of food. I hate the taste of food staying in my mouth for a long time, so I had to take a a bit of a longer one. Now, where were we? Reading, of course. What are we even reading about? My brain got blank. My brain went blank. Love is preserved by the link of gratefulness, which, owing to the weak nature of man, is broken at every opportunity for advantage. But fear preserves you by a fear of punishment, which never fails. Okay, love is preserved by a link of gratefulness, which, owing to the weak nature of man, is broken at every opportunity for advantage. Yeah, love is kinda weak unless you're actually fucking that person. Unless you're actually married to that person. Or even when you're married, love can be so weak. Like I'm not a cynic no, I am a bit cynical, but not in that way. No, I won't say cynical, I'm realistic. I'm a depressed realist. So I wouldn't say that love itself is a lie or thing like that. I do believe in love, but I just believe that most people do not know how to maintain love. Most people do not know how to maintain love, or how to fall in love, or how to treat the person they're in love with. So that's why love is weak. And also, this is a different kind of love that I'm talking about. The love for a lord and the love of a people to their lord. Yeah, that is very weak. Unless people have actually set some vows or something like that. Still. I'm not sure why I'm saying still though. Still what? Let's just move on. Next paragraph. Oh sure, I'm going. Nevertheless, a prince ought to encourage fear in such a way that, if he does not win love, he avoids hatred. I got lost. Jack with something. Let's start again. Nevertheless, a prince ought... Oh yes, music's off. Music. Where is my music? There you go. Let's start again. This soundtrack. It is such a chill soundtrack. You barely notice it's repeating. Again. Nevertheless, a prince ought to encourage fear in such a way that if he does not win love, he avoids hatred. He can carry on very well being feared while he is not hated. Oh, yeah, that is another interesting code. Be feared but not hated. Be feared but not hated. That's the thing that I said. If people are not comfortable with you, if people hate you, they will actually want to replace you. But you can be feared and loved. He can carry on very well being feared while he's not hated, which will always be as long as he keeps away from the property of his citizens and subjects and from the woman. Yes, from the woman. This qualifier is important. This qualifier is important for the time period. But when it's necessary for him to proceed against the life of someone, he must do it with proper justification and for obvious reasons. But above all things, he must keep his hands off the property of others, because men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. Besides, it is always easy to create reasons for taking away property. Anyone who has once begun to live by robbery will always find reasons for seizing what belongs to others. But reasons for taking life, on the other hand, are more difficult to find and are hard to keep justifying. But when a prince is with his army, and has hundreds of soldiers under his command, then it's necessary for him to not worry about having a reputation for cruelty, because without it, he will not keep his army united or disposed to do so its duties. That is a long one, and I absorbed not a lot from it. My brain started to went blank again. To proceed against the life of someone, he must do it with proper justification and for obvious reasons. Okay. Above all things, he must keep his hands off the property of others, because men more quickly forget. Oh yeah, this is another interesting quote, because men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. It's quite the statement. I would say it's the most true thing in the world, because how many revenge stories there are? Like the "you killed my father," "you killed my family" is like the most common revenge theme in stories. But we're talking about stories, not real life. We're talking about things that people find noble. There's more things influencing what becomes a trope in stories than just that is what happens the most in real life. No. Men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. I guess it makes sense, because inheritance you'd it changes your life. It changes your future. You could have hoped for a better future with your inheritance, but it got stolen from you, so now you don't. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? There's a unrelated thing, but I think I could. I think my mic is kind of peaking a bit. Is it? Yeah, I think my mic is getting to the limit of my audio levels. Let me just reduce it a little bit so it doesn't go into the red. Yeah, it was actually going to the red, my mic. Okay, let's try with this audio level now. I don't want to be going too deep into the higher levels. Okay, not funny. Anyway, men more quickly forget the death of their father than loss of their inheritance. Yeah, because the father is a person that lives with you, but they don't really have that strong of an influence on your future, because they're gonna die anyway. They're gonna die a lot sooner than you will. How much of your future changes if you lose your father? A lot less than if you lose your inheritance. You lose all of your fortune. Yes, it's another interesting quote. It makes sense. It does make a lot of sense. It makes too much sense. Now moving on. Let's actually move on. Besides, it is always easy to create reasons for taking away property. Anyone who has once begun to live by robbery will always find reasons for seizing what belongs to others. Is this Machiavelli trying to be virtuous? Like, yeah, of all things, robbery is the one that you don't want to encourage people to do. Because once you rob people, you keep finding more reasons to rob people, because it's so easy to do. So yeah, don't rob your subjects. It's a drug that leads you to harder drugs. But kill your subjects. Kill your subjects. Yes, make an example of them. Show some cruelty once in a while. Make them fear you, but also love you. But robbery, no, you won't. Don't rob, or else you're gonna keep doing it. Anyway. But reasons for taking life, on the other hand, are more difficult to find and are hard to keep justifying. When a prince is with his army and has hundreds of soldiers under his command, then it's necessary for him to not worry about having a reputation for cruelty, because without it, he'll not keep his army united or disposed to do its duties. Yeah, that is the thing we talk about when mentioning military. When you're in the military, you have to do some horrible things. You need to have the heart to do horrible things. And that's gonna ruin your fucking mind. But you need it. Otherwise, people are gonna die. Your friends are gonna die. Your family is gonna die. You're gonna die. And a lot more people are gonna hate you if you do not do your duty. So yes. Cruelty, being ruthless, being merciless when you are in a position that needs it. Shouldn't feel bad about it. Even though you will. Even though you will feel bad about it, you shouldn't. Now, next paragraph. Among the wonderful deeds of Hannibal, this one is described. Having led an enormous army composed of various races of men fighting foreign lands, no disagreements arose either among them or against the prince, no matter whether things were going badly or well. This arose from nothing else than his inhuman cruelty, which, with his boundless courage, made him respectable and terrible in the sight of his soldiers. Without that cruelty, his other virtues were not sufficient to produce this effect. Short-sighted writers admire his deeds from one point of view, and for another criticize the principal cause of them. Evidence for this can be seen in the case of Scipio, that most excellent man, not only of his own times, but within the memory of man, against whom, nevertheless, his army rebelled in Spain. This arose from nothing but his due great kindness. He gave his soldiers more freedom than is consistent with military discipline. For this he was criticized in the Senate by Fabius Maximus, and called a bad leader. Also, because of his easy nature, he did not punish one of his officers who exploited the Locrians. Someone in the Senate, wishing to excuse him, said there were many men who knew much better how not to make errors than to correct the errors of others. His kindness as a commander would have eventually destroyed Scipio's reputation and glory. Fortunately, he was under the control of the Senate, so this dangerous characteristic not only remained hidden, but contributed to his glory. Okay, this is a long one about history again. My brain just does not enter what I'm reading unless I read it repeatedly. By disagreeing arose either among them or against the prince, no matter whether things were going bad or well. This arose from nothing else than his inhuman cruelty, which with his boundless courage made him respected and terrible in the sight of his soldiers. Without the cruelty, his other virtues were not sufficient to produce this effect. Certain writers admires this deed from one point of view, and for another criticize the principal cause. Scipio, the most excellent man, not only of his own times, but within the memory of man, against whom nevertheless his army rebelled in Spain. This arose from nothing but his too great kindness, which gave his soldiers more freedom than is consistent with military discipline. Was criticized, called a bad leader, because of his rigid nature did not punish one of his officers who exploited Locrians. To excuse him, said there were many men who knew much better how not to make errors than to correct the errors of others. That there were many men who knew much better how not to make errors than to correct the errors of others. Kindness of commanders would have eventually destroyed Scipio's reputation and glory. Definitely, okay. Just history, not exactly too much to read about. Returning to the question of being feared or loved, I come to the conclusion that, because men love according to their own will, fear according to the will of the prince, a wise prince should establish himself on that which is in his own control and not in the control of others. He must try, however, to avoid hatred. This whole paragraph is important because it's the summary of the whole chapter. It's better to be feared than to be loved, but you need to try to avoid being hated. That is the important thing. Chapter 18, concerning the way in which the princess should keep faith. Everyone admits how good it is in a prince to keep faith and to live with integrity and not trickery. Nevertheless, our experience has been that those princes who have done great things have held good faith of little account, and have known how to get their way through cheating. In the end, they have overcome those who have relied on their word. You must know there are two ways of winning, one by the rules and the other by force. This method is suited to man, the second to beasts. But because the first is frequently not sufficient, it's necessary to use the second. Therefore, it is necessary for a prince to understand how to use the ways of both the beast and the man. This has been taught by example to princes by ancient writers. To describe how Achilles and many other princes of old were given to Chiron, who was half horse and half man, to nurse, who brought them up in his discipline. This means that they had for a teacher one who was half beast and half human. So it's necessary for a prince to know how to make use of both nature, and that one without the other is not sufficient. A prince, therefore, being forced knowingly to adopt the beast, ought to choose the fox and the lion, because the lion cannot defend himself against traps, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. Therefore, it is necessary to be a fox to discover the traps and a lion to frighten the wolves. Those who rely simply on the lion do not understand what they are doing. Therefore, a wise lord cannot, nor ought he, keep faith when such promises may be turned against him, and when the reasons that cause him to promise no longer exist. If men were entirely good, this principle will not hold. But because they are bad and will not keep faith with you, you too were not bound to observe it with them. There will never be a shortage of good reasons to excuse going back on your word. Endless modern examples of this could be given, showing how many agreements have been broken by princes, and how he who has known best how to employ the fox has succeeded best. Okay, very long paragraph. It's very flowery analogies. I mean, yeah, talking about fox and lion. I guess it's analogies. I always forget the exact word for this sort of thing. Prince therefore, being forced about the beast, ought to choose the fox and the lion. Okay, this one is interesting. It's pretty. It is pretty. It's a pretty quote. Not that deep, but it is. Oh yeah. Actually, this part is also important. But it works. It works. It is an analogy that works. A lion, proud, honorable, strong. A fox, small, shrewd, cunning. That is really the two best animals they could have taken for that sort of representation. The sort of analogy. Really fits perfectly what he's talking about. Let me just take a quick look at the beginning because I cannot gloss over the beginning. Everyone admits how good it is in a prince to keep faith and to live with integrity and not with trickery. Nevertheless, experience has been that those princes who have done great things have had good faith of little account, have known how to get their way through cheating. In the end, they have to overcome those who have relied on their word. You must know there are two ways of winning, one by rules and the other by forms. Okay. There will never be a shortage of reasons to excuse going back on your word. Endless modern examples of this could be given, showing how many agreements have been broken by princes and how he was known best how to employ the fox has succeeded best. Oh wait, that's not the quote. Men were entirely good, those will not hold, but because they are bad, they will not keep faith with you. You too are not. Men weren't. Okay, this whole quote is important. Another. 1, 2. Mark. If men were entirely good, this principle will not hold, because they are bad and will not keep faith with you. You too are not bound to observe it with them. It's a doggy world out there. It's a doggy world out there. So there's no need to be too pious, because your enemies will not be pious. Your enemies will not be virtuous. Your enemies will be merciless and just as cunning as you are. So if you are to remain in power, you'll be like them. Now, next paragraph. But it is necessary to know how to hide this characteristic well and to be a great pretender. People are so simple and so subject to present necessities that anyone who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. One recent example I cannot pass over in silence. Pope Alexander VI did nothing but deceive man, nor ever thought of doing otherwise. Oh, now that is a statement to say about a pope. He always found people to fool, because there never was a man who could so convincingly say something was true and promise something and yet be so unlikely to do it. Nevertheless, his lies always succeed according to his wishes, because he understood the side of mankind very well. Okay. Back to the beginning again. How to hide this characteristic well. It is necessary to know how to hide this characteristic well and to be a great pretender. Yeah, if you're a known liar, people are gonna expect you to lie. The best liars are people who don't know, who people don't know are liars. And I am not no experience in this matter whatsoever. People are so simple and so subject to present necessities that anyone who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. But there's another funny statement. People are so simple and so subject to present necessities that anyone who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. Let's just move on, next paragraph. Therefore, it's unnecessary for a prince to have all the good qualities I have described, but it's very necessary to appear to have them. It's necessary to appear to have them. Okay. People need to believe you're a good prince. People do need to believe you're a good prince. And I shall dare say so this also. That you have these qualities and knowledge to observe them is dangerous. That you appear to have them is useful. Okay. Too many quotes that need to highlight. These are all useful. These are all important. They're really very condensed, the text. Prince should appear merciful, faithful, kind, religious, upright, but should be flexible enough to make use of the opposite qualities when it is necessary. It's also a matter of phrasing, though. If you phrase your enemies as evil, you're not actually gonna be looking as evil yourself if you do that. You have to understand this, that a prince, especially a new one, cannot do all those things for which men are praised, being often forced in order to maintain the state to act contrary to honesty, friendship, kindness, and religion. Therefore, it is necessary for him to have a mind ready to turn itself accordingly, as the winds and variations of fortune force it. Yet, as I have said above, a prince should not turn away from the good if he can avoid doing so, but if it is truly necessary, then he should know how to set about it. Yeah, stretching. And I yawn. I actually yawned this time. Okay, I yawn for the counter. Yawn for the counter. How many yawns do I have? Oh, okay, 132. At least I didn't yawn while writing. I yawn after finishing the paragraph. It's more necessary for him to have a mind to turn itself accordingly as the winds and variations of fortune force it. As I've said above, a prince should not turn away from the good if he can avoid doing so. A prince should not turn away from the good if he can avoid doing so, but if it is truly necessary, then he should know how to set about it. Okay, you should not actually be evil, like just for shits and giggles. Be good, unless... Wait, is that actually what he's saying? Be good unless it's unless you need to not be good. A prince should not turn away from the good. You can avoid doing so. Avoid not turning away from good. But only if it's necessary. What a confusing phrasing. I hate you. I hate you for doing this phrasing. I hate you for doing this phrasing. God, it's making a knot in my mind. A prince should not turn away from the good if you can avoid. There's like double negative or something. A prince should not run away from good if you can avoid running away from good. Okay, yes. That is exactly what he's saying. You should be good unless it's necessary. You should be good unless it's necessary for be evil. But those prince, yes, unless it's necessary to be evil. Be good unless it's necessary to be evil, but be prepared to be evil. Be prepared to be evil. You know, for this reason, a prince ought to take care that he never lets anything slip from his lips that is not full of the 5 qualities mentioned above. so that he may appear to everyone who sees and hears him completely, merciful, faithful, kind, upright, and religious. There is nothing more necessary to appear to have than this last quality. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because everybody can see you, but few come in touch with you. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few really know what you are, and those few dare not oppose the opinion of the many, who may have the power of the state to defend them. In the actions of all men, and especially of princes, which it is not wise to challenge, one judges by the result. One judges by the result. The means... Yeah, the results justify the means, I guess. Well, basically that famous quote. The results justify the means, but in a more runabout way. Not exactly directly saying that, but by implication. There's another. Okay, yeah. 5 qualities mentioned so that he may appear to everyone who sees and hears him completely merciful, faithful, kind, upright, and religious. There is nothing more necessary to appear to have than this last quality. Religious. Prince ought to take care that he never lets anything slip from his lips that is not full of the 5 qualities mentioned above. There is nothing more necessary to appear to have than this last quality. Okay. Religious, yes. Well, it is an interesting quote, but not exactly useful for me. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because everybody can see you, but few come in touch with you. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes too much sense, even. It makes too much sense that people judge you by what you appear, not by the actual content of your actions. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few really know what you are, and those few dare not oppose the opinion of the many, who have the power of the state to defend them. Everyone sees what you appear, but few really know what you are. Yeah, the public opinion is more important for the people, or for in general, the public opinion is more important than the actual actions of what you do. Another big quote, I guess. Another big quote. I guess I can keep them separate because they say kind of different things. They have different internal meanings. No, different. They're not exactly the same thing. Whatever. Moving on. For that reason, now the prince have the credit for conquering and holding his state. The means will always be considered honest, and he will be praised by everybody. This is because the common people are always influenced by what the thing seems to be and by what results from it. In this world, only the common people matter when their minds are firmly made up. Yeah, it's because common people are always influenced by what the thing seems to be and by what results from it. Yeah, people will justify evil if people rationalize evil if they can benefit from it. They can bring other good from it. One prince of the present time whom it is not wise to name. One prince of the present time whom it is not wise to name. He wants to call out someone out. Machiavelli wants to call out a prince, but I wonder what actual prince he will actually be referring there. Anyway, moving on. Never preaches anything else but peace and good faith, and yet to both he is most opposed. If he had followed what he preached, he would have lost his reputation and kingdom many a time. I wonder if I can find who is actually talking about. Wait, I have another PDF. Chapter 18. This one has more notes. Where's chapter 18? Chapter 20, 19, 18. In what mode fate should be kept by prince? Page 68. This one is on there. No, this is a... Wrong page. 69. Nice. 69. Ferdinand the Catholic. A certain prince of present times who is not well to name, Ferdinand the Catholic. Ferdinand the Catholic. Oops, I shouldn't. Ferdinand the Catholic. Let me do a quick good go. Ferdinand II of Aragon. Aragon? Oh no. We are now in the Lord of the Rings world. He reigned jointly with Isabella over a dynastically unified Spain. Together they known as the Catholic monarch. Ferdinand is considered the de facto first king of Spain and was described as such during his reign, even though legally Castile and Aragon remained two separate kingdoms until their fully united. Blah 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 blah. Anything interesting in his bio? No. Okay, there's a lot to read about him though. They seem to have done quite a lot though. There's a lot of praise for what an effective rule he was with his wife. Yeah, it seems like he was like a great king that did a lot of great things for his country, Spain, at the time. And he was in concert with his wife, his queen. Sound like a cool guy. But since Machiavelli mentioned him, I'll be wary a bit of him though. Oh, sorry. I'll be a bit wary of him if I had to meet him in person. Chapter 19. That one should avoid being hated and despised. Anyway, that one should avoid being hated and despised. I've spoken of the most important characteristics a prince should have, and now I wish to discuss the others briefly under the general thing that the prince must consider: how to avoid those things which will make him hated or despised. If he can succeed with us, he will have done the best he can, and he need not fear any danger in other criticisms. He makes me hated above all things as I have said, to be greedy and to exploit the property and women of his subjects, and he must avoid doing this. And when neither their property nor their honor is threatened, the majority of men live happily, and the prince has only to deal with the ambition of a few, whom he can easily control in many ways. A prince, I'm not processing the things that I'm reading. My brain keeps going blank when I'm reading things. It makes me hated above, as I have said, to be greedy and to exploit the property and women of his subjects. But he has to qualify the property and women of his subjects. Exploit the property and women. It is funny in a dark way for me, and he must avoid doing this. And when neither their property nor their honor is threatened, the majority of men live happily, and the prince has only to deal with the ambition of a few, whom he can easily control in many ways. Okay, yeah. Don't keep the normal people comfortable, and you only have to deal with the ambitious people. A prince is despised if he is considered changeable, foolish, weak, mean, and uncertain. A prince should avoid these characteristics. In his actions, he should try to show greatness, courage, seriousness, and strength. In his private dealings with his subjects, he should show that his judgments must be followed. And he should maintain himself with such a reputation that no one can hope either to deceive him or to get around him. Around him, not around him. I guess it's an archaic phrasing. An archaic way of saying this. Yeah, that makes sense. Even in media, you see the kings and leaders that are respected and seen as the good guys show greatness, courageousness, seriousness, and strength, and they also know how to make the hard decisions. Having dealings with his subjects, he showed that his judgments must be followed. Maintain himself with such a reputation, no one can hope either to deceive him or to get around him. Okay. A prince who shows these good qualities will be highly respected, and such a person can only be attacked with difficulty. For this reason, a prince ought to have two fears, one from within, on account of his subjects, the other from without, on account of his external powers. From the latter, he is defended by being well-armed and having good friends, and if he is well-armed, he will have good friends. Affairs will always remain quiet within when they are quiet outside, unless they have been already disturbed by conspiracy. And even if affairs outside are disturbed, if he has carried out his preparations and has lived as I have said, as long as he does not despair, he will resist every attack. Yes, be steady. Be steady and be hard to uproot. Basically. One from within, on account of his subjects, the other from without, on account of external power. Okay, yeah, this is an interesting quote. It's something that I believe in. The two main sources of intrigue and conflict in our stories, like either some civil war happening because there's disagreements between the people that rule, or there's some outside force, and it's actually common in real life then. And it's actually something common in real life to happen that rulers will use an invading enemy to unify the people, so he can keep a more stable internal affairs. Because external threats take priority, so it is easier for him to control everyone if there's something to unite the people. It's like one of the most classic things politicians do, even. One of the most classic things politicians do in modern times, but I would rather not get into details about that one. As long as he does not despair, he will resist every attack. But concerning his subjects, when affairs outside are disturbed, he only has to fear that his subjects would conspire secretly. The prince can easily secure himself from this by avoiding being hated and despised, and by keeping the people satisfied with him. It is extremely important for him to do this, as I have said above at length. And one of the most effective remedies that a prince can have against conspiracy is not to be hated and despised by the people. Okay, you're just kind of repeating yourself! Any conspirator always expects to please the people by the prince's removal. When a conspirator can only look forward to offending them, he will not have the courage to take such a course, because the difficulties that face a conspirator are infinite. As experience shows, there have been many conspiracies, but few have been successful. A conspirator cannot act alone, nor can he take a companion except from those whom he believes to be dissatisfied. As soon as you have opened your mind to a dissatisfied person, you have given him the material with which to satisfy himself. Oh, because by informing on you, he can look for every advantage. That is the instant quote from me. I think I have another one above that I need to take. So, now moving on. So, because of the certain gains from informing, and now certainty gains and certain dangers from conspiring, he must be a very true friend or a thoroughly determined enemy of the Empire to keep faith with you. That is very important. Yes, you by showing that you're a discounted person, that you have willingness to overthrow the person in power, you paint a huge target on your back. Just by showing some discontent, you're already putting targets on your back. Let me see. Any conspiration? But when conspiration, yes. You will not have... Oh. Also another yawn. This time I forgot to hold back, but I wasn't reading, so it's fine. Yes, removing person for power is actually very difficult unless you're actually a bad ruler and everyone hates you. On the side of conspirator, there is nothing but fear, jealousy, and the prospect of punishment. On the side of the prince, there is the power of the principality, the laws, the protection of friends, and the state to defend them. If we add to all these things the popular support of the people, it is impossible that anyone should be so foolish as to conspire. Okay, just because I said that I was not yawning lately a lot, I'm starting to yawn again. Another yawn to the counter. Whereas in general, the conspirator had to fear before he carries out his plan. In this case, he has also to fear what follows the crime, because on account of it, he has the people for an enemy, and thus cannot hope for any escape. Yes, even if you do kill the ruler, there's a quite the obvious problem that you kill the fair ruler, and now everyone kind of hates you. So how are you gonna survive that place? How are you gonna survive that hell? This is the kind of a thing that I have seen a few times that writers have ignored, that after the conspiracy done, the evil has been committed and the good guys have died, everyone just stays quiet. Like everyone just stays quiet and everyone just falls in line. Like there should be a civil war going on. There should be an upheaval in power. The country should be split now. The country should be split, but it isn't because the writers did not want to write to continue the civil war. They thought that would be the end of it, but no. No, oh no, oh no! You don't end the war when you want to. You don't end the war when you want to. Now, next paragraph. Endless examples could be given on the subject, but I'll be content with one, which happened within the memory of our founders. Annibale Bentivogli was prince in Bologna, grandfather of the present Annibale. Was murdered by the Canesci, who had conspired against him, and now with one of his family, a very young child called Giovanni, were killed. Immediately after Annibale was killed, the people rose and murdered all the Canesci, thus sprung from the popular law which the house of Bentivogli enjoyed in those days in Bologna. This law was so great that after the death of the Annibale, though none remained there was able to rule the state, the Bolognese, having information that there was one of the Bentivogli family in Florence, sent to Florence for him and gave him the government of their city, even though he was thought to be the son of a poor worker. He was ruled by him until the surviving child, Giovanni, was old enough to take over the government. Oh, this is actually a, I would say cute. I wanted to say cute, but it's heartwarming story. That the people loved the family so long that they actually raised the child until he was ready to rule and take over his family. Take over the legacy of his family that was murdered. That is a tragic but beautiful. I can't even say beautiful because everyone got killed. Everyone but the child got killed. So how do I describe this? A tragic but bittersweet story. Guys, I could say bittersweet. It has a... Oops, sorry. I'm sniffing. It has the... It has a... Uplifting? No. It has a good, not even good. He has an ending that isn't bad. He has an ending that isn't bad. That is the most that I can say of the story. It has an ending that isn't bad. For this reason, I consider that a priest ought not to worry about conspiracies when his people have love and respect him. But when the people are hostile to him and bear hatred towards him, he ought to fear everything and everybody. Well-ordered states and wise princes have taken care to keep the nobles happy and to keep the people satisfied and contented. For this is one of the most important goals a prince can have. Okay. There's one, yeah. One of the most important goals a prince can have. Okay, so yes, it is definitely something worthy of a quote and a highlight. Just keeping a save of the file of the notes before I lose them. But who knows? Among the best ordered and governed kingdoms of our times is France, and in it are found many good institutions on which the liberty and security of the king depends. Of these, the first is the parliament and its authority. The person who founded the kingdom, knowing the ambition of the nobility and their boldness, considered that there needed to be a way to control them. On the other side, knowing the hatred of the people, founded in fear against the nobles, he wished to protect the people. However, he did not want this to be the particular responsibility of the king, and therefore, to take away the criticisms which the king would face from the nobles for favoring the people and from the people for favoring the nobles, he set up the parliament, which would be one who could beat down the great and favor the lesser without the king being blamed. Huh. You could not have a better or more efficient arrangement, or a greater source of security to the king and kingdom. From this, one can draw another important conclusion, that princes ought to leave affairs which may upset some people to the manage of others, and keep those which will make people happy in their own hands. However, I consider that prince ought to take care of the nobles, but not so as to make himself hated by the people. Okay, I find this funny, yeah. Yeah, here I'm gonna make a like what they say, scapegoat, create scapegoats. So you have to do what you have to do, but you're not hated by the people because of what you do. This one is funny. This one tickles my funny bone for some reason. Also adds in 3 minutes. Adds in 3 minutes. Ends in 3 minutes because we all love ends, but I do enjoy the breaks though, especially on this type of stream. These breaks are very useful. These breaks are very useful for me because it's not easy to study like this. Let's see, France, of course, of these. First is the parliament, it is the authority. The person who founded the kingdom, knowing the ambition of the nobility and their boldness, considered there needed to be a way to control them. Therefore, to take away criticism which the king would face from the noble for favoring the people, he established the parliament. There you go. Maybe I should set up parliaments in my story. No. What's a parliament though? What is it? What exactly is the parliament? Parliament. Not banned. I don't know. Okay. That is... There's a band called parliament. I do not want to do that, Wiki. Modern politics. Oh, there you go. A parliament is a legislative body of government. Generally, a modern parliament has 3 functions: representing the electorate, making laws, and overseeing the government via hearings and inquiries. Oh. The term is similar to the idea of a senate, synod, or congress, and is commonly used in countries that are current or former monarchies. Some contexts restrict the use of the word parliament to parliamentary system, although it is also used to describe legislature, some presidential system, blah blah blah, even when it's not in the official name. Historically, parliaments included various kinds of deliberative, consultative, and judicial assemblies. What is considered to be the first modern parliament was the Cortes of Leon, held in the Kingdom of Leon in 1188. Early parliaments. That one is useful, but also as in 10 seconds. In ancient times, when societies were tribal, there were councils or headmen whose decisions were assessed by the village elders. This is called tribalism. Some scholars suggest that in ancient there was a primitive democratic government, blah 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 blah, blah by council. The same as blah blah blah, therefore there was some sort of democracy. However, these claims are not oligarchy. Not responsibility, ecclesiam was different. Okay, it's just an early form of parliaments that are not actually parliaments, like the councils and things like that. That's what the Wikipedia article is talking about. Magna Carta. Magna Carta in the Model Parliament. This one is interesting. I'll read those after the ads. 3 minutes. Be right back. Alright, we're back. I tried to separate my audio, so I think you may have heard a few seconds of background music, but that's fine. I'm trying to separate my audio tracks. I want to be able to listen to something else while the soundtrack is going, but I think I need to open files instead of I want to be able to listen to a stream while I'm reading, studying, but I think I'll be I'll try to split my audio so you guys won't hear the stream that I want to watch while I study. But it didn't work because my I'm watching a stream on the browser and on a different window. Still on the browser, I'm playing the background music, so it did not separate. It did not actually separate the audio, unfortunately. But I'll leave that. I'll try to remember that for the next stream because I kind of want to be able to. These reading streams are such a low intensity streams that I can actually watch and talk to other people while I'm doing a little bit of streaming. That'll be interesting. That'll be more fun. That'll make it more fun because studying is not fun. We need to find ways to make studying fun. I mean, it is interesting and stimulating, but I couldn't say it's fun. I'm doing because I want to, not necessarily because I find this amazingly fun. So, more ways to find it fun would be interesting. Now, what was I doing? Oh yes, I was reading about the Parliament. Parliament, Magna Carta and the Model Parliament. The tenants-in-chief often struggle for power with the ecclesiastic and the king. In 1215, they secured Magna Carta for King John of England. It is established that the king may not levy or collect any taxes except the feudal taxes to which they were hitherto accustomed, save with the consent of a council. It was also established that the most important tenants-in-chief and ecclesiastics be summoned to the council by personal writs from the sovereign, and all others be summoned to the council by general writs from the sheriffs of their county. Modern government has its origins in Curia Regis. Parliament descends from the Great Council, later known as the Parliament, established by the Magna Carta. It's kind of interesting how things progress, because in my story, the governments are not exactly feudal. They are monarchic, but they also have some developments on them. Like one of them has an actual tribunal, which creates laws independently from the lords, and they have their own power, and they are represented by the guilds of merchants and things like that, and artisans. Not exactly by the people, just by the guilds and merchants. But because of the numbers, and because there's a prejudice against rich people, there's a religious prejudice against rich people, and this is the world where gods actually exist. So, I need to mute myself. 1 second. And this is a world where there's actual gods, so religion is very important. But the rich doesn't have a lot of power. It's the workers that have power, not necessarily the people itself, but basically the smaller guilds and agglomerations have more power to make laws and things like that. So there is some different dynamics, and it's basically the parliament. And as Machiavelli has just suggested, I could use this tribunal, this power, this parliament, to shift the blame, use them as scapegoats for controversial changes. And there will be controversial changes in the laws in the future. So this is an interesting character. This is an interesting thing that I could use to make the story more vibrant. Instead of the main character just making the changes in laws and taking the blame, he more expertly shifts the blame towards the parliament. So things are more. There's more actually happening. Involving more people, the more complex, the more things that are happening and moving parts, the more engaging the story being. So instead of just taking the blame by himself, and yeah, he's the noble good. He can take the blame. He's the chosen by the gods. The laws are good. He actually can just shift the blame to the tribunal itself, and then have a bit more freedom. That'll make for a more interesting story than just taking in the ass. Now back to the book. It may appear perhaps to some who have examined the lives and deaths of the Roman emperors that many of them would be an example contrary to my opinion, in that some of them lived nobly and showed great qualities of soul, but nevertheless they lost the empire or were killed by subjects who conspired against them. Wishing therefore to answer these objections, I will describe the characters of some emperors. I'll show that the causes of their ruin were not different from those described by me. At the same time, I'll submit for consideration only those things that are relevant for studying the affairs of those times. So Machiavelli is gonna throw his sources. Sources? Yeah, Machiavelli is gonna give you your sources. He's gonna source his claims. Machiavelli is laying down the law. Machiavelli is gonna do that, and because I'm not witty enough to say one more phrase, I'm just gonna say it's gonna do that. It seems to me sufficient to take all those emperors who succeeded to the empire, from Marcus the philosopher down to Maximinus. They were Marcus and his sons Commodus, Pertinax, Julian Severus, and his sons Antonius, Caracalla, Macrinius, Heliogabalus, Alexander, and Maximinius. It is necessary to note that, whereas in other principalities a prince only has to deal with the ambition of the nobles and the demands of the people, the Roman emperors had a third difficulty in having to deal with the cruelty and greed of their soldiers. This was such a difficult matter that it was the ruin of many, because it was a hard thing to give satisfaction to both soldiers and the people. The reason for this was that the people loved peace, and so they loved a contented emperor. The soldiers, however, loved a warlike emperor who was bold, cruel, and greedy, and they were willing for the emperor to exercise these qualities on the people. Then they could get double pay and satisfy their own greed and cruelty. Damn. Well, it makes sense. They're soldiers after all. Yeah. They get double pay and satisfy their own greed and cruelty. Hence, it happened that those emperors were always thrown out of power, who, either by birth or training, had no great authority. Most of them, especially those who came new to the principality, recognizing the difficulty of these two opposing forces, were inclined to give satisfaction to the soldiers, caring little about injuring the people. Thus, unfortunately, it was necessary, because as princes cannot help being hated by someone, they ought in the first place to avoid being hated by everyone. When they cannot manage this, they ought to try most of all to avoid the hatred of the most powerful. Therefore, those emperors who through inexperience had need of a special support more readily favor the soldiers than the people. Whether this policy worked to their advantage or not depended on whether the prince knew how to maintain authority over them. Now, brain gloss over. I need to reread this. Again, of course, my brain is distracted. Why would that be distracted? Brains, okay, the third difficulty have to deal with the greed. Oh yeah. The soldiers love. Then they could get double paid. Hence it happened that those emperors were always thrown out of power, who, either by birth or training, had no great authority. Also then, especially those who came new to the principality, recognized the difficulty of these opposing forces, were inclined to give satisfaction to the soldiers, caring little about injuring the people. Oh, okay, yeah, so... Okay. So yeah, the princes would always support the people. Those who supported the soldiers were because they were more weak. And the soldiers were the bigger threat. Because soldiers, you know, soldiers have the guns. Well, not the guns. Soldiers have the swords. Soldiers have the swords. So if you need to please someone, you please the one that seems to be the bigger threat to you. Princes cannot help being hated by someone. They ought in the first phrase to avoid being hated by everyone. Yeah, instead of being hated by both, just choose one. When they cannot manage this, they ought to try most of all to avoid the hatred of the most powerful. Yeah, exactly what I said. By someone, if you want to be hated by someone, avoid being hated by everyone, be hated by someone, and then avoid to be hated by the most powerful. For those emperors who through inexperience had needs of special support, yeah, because they did not have a stable power base, they needed support of the soldiers or the people. They didn't have any other means to rely upon themselves. Whether this policy worked to their advantage or not depended on whether the prince knew how to maintain authority over them. So they focused on this soldier, and then I guess they lost eventually because they are bad princes. For these reasons, Marcus, Pertinax, and Alexander, all being men of modest life, lovers of justice, enemies of cruelty, kind and generous to others, came to a sad end. Marcus alone lived and died respected, because he had become emperor by hereditary title, and owed nothing either to the soldiers or the people. Afterwards, being possessed of many virtues which made him respected, he always kept both groups in their place while he lived, and was neither hated nor despised. But Pertinax was created emperor against the wishes of the soldiers. They were accustomed to live beyond the rules on the commodus, and could not bear the honest life to which Pertinax wished to reduce them. Thus, having given a cause for hatred, to which hatred there was added a lack of respect for him, because he was old, he was destroyed at the very beginning of his administration. It should be noted here that hatred is acquired as much by good works as by bad ones. Wow. That is another important. You can be hated even if you're doing good. You can be hated even if you're doing good. This is the thing that people should learn. Especially, well, I was gonna make a reference to isekai, to shitty trash isekai manga, because they love to make a goody two shoes protagonist who only does good. And yeah, the main character is hated often, but what I wanted to shit on these stories is that the main character still he just goes on being good regardless of how he messes things up for him, and he still ends up winning in the end. So that's like that's kind of annoying how it's always the same thing, really. Like the easiest stories you could make. He did good, he was righteous, and he succeeded in the end. He was hated by the evil people, but he succeeded in the end. That's like the straightest, most boring story you could make, and that kind of gets in my that kind of tickles my bone, not in the good way. So I like to reference bad isekai stories when I can. I still read them. I still read isekai trash because it's trash, and I want the ecchi, and I want the harem, but I'll shit on them whenever I can. And I really dislike characters that are good and succeed without much trouble. Really, if you're good, you need to make a few sacrifices to make the story more interesting. Now, let me clear my throat. Prince is very often forced to... Therefore, as I said before, Prince wishing to keep his state is very often forced to do evil. But the principality is in a bad way, you have to submit to the wishes of who you think you have need of to maintain yourself. It may either be the people or the soldiers or the nobles, and then good works will do you harm. Wait, let me read this. You have to submit to the wishes of who you think you have need of to maintain yourself. You gotta be the people or the soldiers or the noble, and then good works will do you harm. Okay. Let us come to Alexander, who was a man of such great goodness that among the other praises which are accorded what? That among the other praises which are accorded him is this. Now that is a phrasing. I guess it's an archaic phrasing. But whoosh, lay moly. That in the 14 years he held the empire, no one was ever put to death by him without due process of law. Nevertheless, being considered too much like a woman, and a man who allowed himself to be governed by his mother, became despised, and the army conspired against him and murdered him. Nevertheless, being considered too much like a woman. Okay, I guess it makes sense for ancient Greece, because they saw women like a second-class citizen, not really second-class, like broken man or something like that. I guess they really had some big prejudice against women. From what I know, I'm not really an historian expert or even an enthusiast of ancient Greek history. Now, moving on. Turning to the opposite characters of Commodus, Severus, Antonius Caracalla, and Maximinus, you will find them all cruel and greedy. They were men who, to satisfy their soldiers, did not hesitate to commit every kind of wicked act against the people. All except Severus came to a bad end. In Severus, there was so much courage that, keeping the soldiers friendly, although the people were oppressed by him, he ruled successfully. His courage made him so much admired in the sight of the soldiers and the people that the latter were kept in a way astonished, and the former were respectful and satisfied. Because the actions of this man, as a new prince, were great, I wish to show briefly that he knew well how to be the fox and the lion, which natures, as I said above, it is necessary for a prince to imitate. Greek bussy, well, not a lot of bussy over here though. There's a lot of Greek, there has been a lot of Greek scheming and prejudice against women. Unfortunately, not a lot of bussy does stream. This is the most say-so stream by far that I've been doing. Niccolò Machiavelli is not a very sus writer though. He may as well be sexual going by his writing. Jesus Christ, it's so dry. No, I guess Machiavelli has a thing for being an evil. He has a bit of a sadistic. I would definitely say that Machiavelli has a bit of a sadism in him. Even though he's so ruthlessly straightforward and direct and ruthlessly straightforward. How do I describe this? Direct, unemotional, something of that kind. Put these words on thesaurus and yeah, that's one of these words will be what I want to mean. Yes, he is the most dry writer you could have. I guess this is like a very translated, like hundreds of years later, retranslated over and over again, but still. I think they did not, I think they would have preserved some of the flair in his writing if he had some. So no bussy over here. Just Greek burly men, just Greek leaders, just ruthless, brutal Greek leaders over here. It's kind of hot if you're thinking about Bara, but I wouldn't say these Greek guys are Baras even. But yes. Let's go back to this paragraph, I guess. Severus, there was so much courage that, keeping the soldiers friendly, although people were oppressed by him, he ruled successfully. Oh, because of his courage, he had too much courage. But these are just examples, like nothing too much to think about over here. He's just giving examples to make the points of his previous paragraphs. Knowing the laziness of Emperor Julian, he persuaded the army in Sclavonia, of which he was captain, that it would be right to go to Rome and revenge the death of Pertinax, who had been killed by the emperor's own soldiers. What a surprising team and not common at all. I've never heard of a dozen other Roman emperors being killed by his own soldiers. Under this pretense, without appearing to want to be emperor, he moved the army towards Rome. He reached Italy before it was even known that he had started. On his arrival at Rome, the Senate, through fear, elected him emperor and killed Julian. After this, there remained for Severus, who wished to make himself master of the whole empire, two difficulties. One in Asia, where Niger... I'm not gonna say that again, I'm sorry. Head of the Asian army let's just no, let's move on. Had caused himself to be named emperor. And the other in the west, where Albinus also wanted to be emperor, as he considered it dangerous to declare himself hostile to both. He decided to attack the first and to deceive Albinus. To the latter, he wrote that, being elected emperor by the Senate, he was willing to share that honor with him and sent him the title of Caesar. And moreover, he wrote that the Senate had made Albinus his colleague. This was all believed by Albinus as true. But after Severus had conquered and killed Niccolo and settled affairs in the east, he returned to Rome. He complained to the Senate that Albinus, later recognizing the benefits that he had received from him, had sought to murder him, and for this he was forced to punish him. Afterwards, he sought him out in France and took from him his government and life. Therefore, anyone who carefully examines the actions of this man will find him a most courageous lion and a most tricky fox. He will find him feared and respected by everyone and not hated by the army. It is not surprising that he, a new man, was able to hold the empire so well, because of his reputation for courage, always protecting from the hatred which the people might have preconceived against him for his violence. Just means black in Latin and is the name of a place. No worries. Yeah, no worries at all. None at all. Let's just not fly too close to the sun, though. Let me actually review this, because this dude did a lot. This dude did a lot. Holy shit. He took over Rome. He threatened the Senate. He had Julian killed, Emperor Julian. Okay. Yeah, for revenge, they killed the new emperor just to. He was how do you say this? How do I start it? He used the excuse of revenge for Pertinax to kill Julian. And after this, he remained there for Severus, wishing himself master of the whole empire. But in Asia, where Niccolo, gonna call him Niccolo, head of the Asian army, had caused himself to be named emperor. Okay, so two other pretenders for the throne. Two other pretenders for the throne of the empire, so he had to deal with them. As he considered it dangerous to claim himself hostile to both, he decided to attack Niccolo and to deceive Albinus. Okay. The latter he wrote that being elected emperor by the Senate, he was willing to share the honor with him and sent him the title of Caesar. And moreover, he wrote that the Senate had made Albinus his colleague. It was all believed by Albinus. That's true. Why? Everything that was so good to be true. Like the dude is the what's it called? What was the name of the dude that was doing all this? Severus? Oh yeah, Severus, yes. Severus used the excuse of revenge for Pertinax to kill the emperor and crown himself emperor. He threatened the Senate, and he had only two enemies on that were far away. Two other pretenders for the throne that were far away. He was already a fox. Like, he was already doing something. He already killed an emperor. And the other dude who wanted to be emperor, Albinus, believed that this killer, that this regicide, that this emperor exterminator would actually share the title of Caesar with him. He actually believed that. Honestly, I'm not even that Machiavelli of a person, but trusting murderers like this is not very. I would be rightfully very wary of a person who has an army and already killed an emperor to decide to share the title of emperor with me. I have no enemies, fucking dies. Yeah, that's exactly it. He doesn't even have that much power himself. That's what I believe was Balbinus too, but after Severus had conquered and killed Niccolo, settle affairs in the east. He returned to home. He complained to the Senate that Albinus... See? He went back and started plotting against him. Had sought to murder him. For this, he was formed to punish him. Got him out in France and took from him his government and life. Yeah, the dude already had the Senate under his... The dude... Severus already had the Senate under his thumb. And then he just like, yeah, Senate. Fuck Albinus for me. Fuck my last competitor in the ass. And they did. Well, hindsight is 2020 though, so hindsight is 2020. So we can laugh at Albinus for being such a gullible little shit, such a gullible little idiot. But hindsight is 2020. We don't know the exact details of how Albinus was deceived. So can't really shit on him too much for dying. Can't really shit on him too much. Moving on, his son Antoninus was a very capable man and had very excellent quality. He's made him admired by the people and accepted by the soldiers. He was a warlike man, full of energy, who despised all delicate food and other rich delights. Well, sound like a boring person. Despise all delicate food and other rich delights. Definitely not me. Already dislike him. This caused him to be loved by the armies. Nevertheless, his fierceness and cruelties were great and far beyond relief. After endless single murders, he killed a large number of the people of Rome and all of those of Alexandria. He became hated by the whole world and feared by those he had around him. To such an extent that he was murdered in the midst of his army by a soldier. It must be noted here that killing like this, which are done with a resolved courage by those who are not afraid to die, cannot be avoided by princes. Anyone who does not fear to die can do them, but a prince may fear them less because they are very rare. He only has to be careful not to do any serious injury to those whom he employs or has around him in the service of the state. Antoninus had not been careful about this, as it was obvious. He had dishonorably killed a brother of that soldier, whom also he threatened each day. He had retained his own personal soldiers. This, as it turned out, was a foolish thing to do and proved to be the emperor's ruin. You killed the brother of a soldier of your bodyguard, and then you threaten the soldier, and you keep them under you, and you give them a sword and say, protect me. And you just like, nah. Yeah, hindsight is 2020, but this one I feel like it's a bit too dumb. This one feels like a bit too unwise. But let us come to Commodus. It should have been very easy for him to hold on to the empire. Being the son of Marcus, he had inherited it, and he had only to follow in the footsteps of his fathers to please his people and soldiers. But he was by nature cruel and hard. He gave himself up to amusing the soldiers and allowing them too much freedom so that he could treat the people badly. In addition, he did not maintain the proper respect for his own position, often descending to the theater to compete with soldiers and doing wicked things not worthy of the emperor. If even Machiavelli is saying these things, I'm actually concerned about what exactly. No, I'd rather not. Well, I am curious person, so I do want to hear about these things, but I believe I would rather not. Being despised by the soldiers and being hated by one party and despised by the other, he was conspired against and killed. Okay, yeah, he just became a brute himself. He was an orc among other orcs. He deserved this one. It remains to be discussed the character of Maximinus. He was a very warlike man, and the army is being disgusted with the weakness of Alexander, of whom had already spoken, killed him and elected Maximinus as emperor. He did not keep this position for long, for two things made him hated and despised. Firstly, he came from a very poor background, having once raised sheep. Oh, a sheep farmer is now emperor of the fucking Rome Empire. Thus was known by everyone, was considered a completely unsuitable background for an emperor. Secondly, When he first became emperor, he put off going to Rome and officially taking the position. He had also gained a reputation for great cruelty by having done many wicked things, killed his representatives in Rome and elsewhere in the empire. So the whole world was moved to anger at the meanness of his birth and by fear of his cruelty. First, Africa rebelled, then the Senate with all the people of Rome, and now Italy conspired against him, to which may be added his own army. The army, besieging Aquileia, and meeting with difficulties in taking it, were disgusted with his cruelties, and fearing him less when they found so many people against him, murder him. Okay, this one looks like even worse than Commodus. Jesus Christ. I do not wish to discuss Heliogabalus, Macrinus, or Julian, who, being thoroughly despised, were quickly wiped out. I will bring this discussion to a conclusion by saying that princes in our times have much less trouble. Princes in our time have much less trouble with the difficulty of giving too much satisfaction to their soldiers, because notwithstanding one has to keep them happy, that is soon done. That is not the time that is in the ruthless doggy world of Machiavelli, of the Holy Roman Empire, and the hundreds of little kingdoms, and that goes with the little wars and changes and the fucking mess that was the politics at that time. This is all Machiavelli's times, and he says that you don't need to give too much satisfaction to their soldiers. So imagining those times, soldiers would have been actual fucking monsters, actual orcs that needed to have pillaging and raping to keep happy. It was not too stunning. None of these princes have armies that are experienced in the governing and administration of parts of an empire, as were the armies of the Roman Empire. Whereas then it was more necessary to give satisfaction to the soldiers than to the people. It is now more necessary for all princes, except the leaders of the Turks and the rulers of Egypt, to satisfy the people rather than the soldiers, because the people are the most powerful. From the above, I have excluded the leader of the Turks, who always keeps 12,000 foot soldiers and 15,000 horse soldiers around him, on which depend the security and strength of his kingdom. It is thus necessary that, putting aside every consideration for the people, he should keep them his friends. The kingdom of Egypt is similar, being entirely in the hands of soldiers. It follows again that, without regard to the people, the leader must keep the soldiers as his friends. But you must note that the state of Egypt is not like all other principalities. It is most like that controlled by the Pope. It cannot be called either. This is not that interesting. I need to read faster though. It cannot be called either hereditary or newly formed principality, because the sons of the old prince do not inherit. The person who is elected at that position by those who have authority, and his sons remain only as nobles. Because this is an ancient custom, it cannot be called a new principality, and so there are none of those difficulties need that are met with in new ones. Thus, although the prince is new, the constitution of the state is old, and its frame is so as to receive him as if he were inheriting. Just story, but not very interesting to me. But turning to the main subject, I say that whoever will consider it will acknowledge that either being hated or despised has resulted in the fall of the emperors mentioned above. It will also be recognized how it happened that in a number of them acting in one way and a number in another, only one in each way came to a happy end, and the rest to unhappy ones. It would have been useless and dangerous for Pertinax and Alexander, being new princes, to imitate Marcus, who inherited the principality. Likewise, it would have been completely destructive to Caracalla, Commodus, and Maximinus to have imitated Severus. Much examples. They did not have sufficient courage to enable them to follow in his footsteps. Therefore, a prince new to the principality cannot imitate the actions of Marcus, nor again it is necessary to follow those of Severus. But the prince But the prince ought to take several those parts which are necessary to establish his state, and from access those which are proper and gross to keep his state that may already be stable and firm. Okay, this more just more story, just more history, and not exactly very history. Like not that interesting reading about this part of the history. And hello raiders, what a surprise! Mikoto is raiding me. Hello, hey there.
Welcome, Mikoto, Kitsune, and your 9 foxy raiders. Embrace the enchanting energy of our realm and immerse yourself in the seductive wonders that await. Join us in our passionate escapades and let us ignite flames of desire that shall burn bright. Welcome to the realm of Gramarye.
Welcome to the realm of Gramarye. Thank you for the follow, Violet. Violet 2, Violet W. You've now sold your soul to Gramarye. She's going to visit you after every steam for a bit of life force milking, but don't worry. She has learned how not to over milk and cause a few unwanted fatalities. Just learn to have fun. Just Violet, okay. We'll hang out here till I sleep. Thank you, Mikoto. I have like a bit more. I have like 3 hours. Yeah, I stop at 3 hours, so I'm gonna be like a bit more than 15 minutes, I guess. Something like. The TOWs. Oh, okay. Oh yes, there's 2 T's over there. I couldn't see. Yes, that makes sense. The DW third from Stitch. I have ADHD concentration. ADHD concentration. How? Okay. Well, hopefully my voice will help you fall asleep. I am trying to be speaking more smoothly. I was trying to speak more softly. How are you doing? I am doing fine. Nice, yes. Doing very well. Studying on a Friday afternoon. I used to study on the Friday nights, but I would rather not study on a Friday night of all places, so I changed my schedule to in the afternoon. Hello, cutie. Thank you. Hello, Nokujamai. Know you're cutie. Let's see. Yes, you were playing Cyberpunk 2077 as always, Mikoto. Yes. How was actually the game this time? I couldn't see much. I was preparing for stream and then streaming myself. Though I had you on the half of the screen just lurking a bit. I'm trying to learning to become Machiavellian, learning how to write as a Machiavellian person, learning how to write. I would rather not become Machiavellian myself. I'm too much of a good little puppy, a good little doggo. I'd rather not have this sort of evil in my heart, but I will. But fantasy is something completely different. In fantasy, I can be anything I want. So I can channel that into my writing. Do you know the book of Count of Monte Cristo? Yes, I know the book, and I also still remember the movie. It's actually a very good movie, the movie of Count of Monte Cristo. I've actually seen it maybe twice or 3 times in my life. Not sure why, but I did. So I still remember it. I still remember a lot of it. Yes, awesome. Yes, that one is a good example of how to completely ruin someone. Never seen the movie, but I love that book. Oh. Yes. Normally I try to not read I haven't read, even though I'm a writer and I don't have a lot of deep literature variety. I do not have that background for me. I'm mostly just a dreamer myself who just started dreaming because I wanted to write my own dreams. So I'm more of a dreamer than a reader myself. But yes, that story I do know. I do know a bit of a lot of classical stories because. Oh, yes. My calling is to write. My calling is to write, not read though. My calling is to write. Though I am reading right now, but it's to study so I can write better. I'm kind of both. The books inspire me. Yeah, for me, my fantasy inspire me. My fantasy inspire me. Is what drives me. I want to escape. The escapism. The escapism is what drives me. But the books give me the dreams, I guess. Yeah, for me it's just escapism. I just have a few things in my mind that I want to escape reality, and I indulge myself in new things. I want to create myself things on my own hands instead of just observing things or being consumed. I use books for that too. Yeah. But for me, the desire to create is stronger than the desire to consume, because other people's fantasies are not my own fantasies. So that is why I prefer to write myself. And right now, oh yes, I did not do my greeting. I am Menasong, a lewd, degen, author and professional multiverse wizard specializing in world building and Waifusmith. And floating behind me is Grammary, the succubus who gave you the warm greeting. You can talk to Grammary using a redeem over there. You can talk about anything you want with her. She's a honest to God succubus who'll suck you up if you ask, though she can't do that explicitly right here. I need to set up okay, hat is off, no protection, breeding only, watch out, I'm very fertile. Grammary, I need to set up an actual different AI for her, because there is a way to make her more uncensored. She is censored with explicit things, but I need to set her up so she's even more unhinged. I'm not sure if how badly which will react to something like this, but I don't think I can do like a TTS for that. It'll be complicated. Maybe I can do a TTS for that, but it'll be complicated. Still, it'll also cost CPU. Actually, it will not be something that I can do all the time, like when I'm on gaming, something that takes too much CPU, because those things take a while. Which AI mod are you using for her at the moment? I'm just using the VTS Pog. I'm just using the VTS Pog plugin application. So it uses GPT-3 Turbo. But I've briefly looked into setting up a local chat bot. OpenAI? Yeah, OpenAI. And OpenAI uses ChatGPT. I can't actually change the provider for the AI. It's a hard coded into the program. Maybe I can ask them to do that, but maybe I could even ask them to make a socket so I can use my own local AI. That'll be good. That'll be perfect. But unfortunately, that's not possible. I just have so many things to do it, and this one is also another technical stuff that kind of make me that makes me bored. That makes me lazy. You can rent a server to host it. Some are too costly and use a model that isn't censored. Oh, that is another alternative. But yes, I'll still need to set it up. That is the thing. I'd prefer to try it out on my own. Try to set it up on my own. I can try to make it slow, so it doesn't consume too much CPU power. So it'll only take a while for the responses to come, but I could try it. I think I can do that. I hope I can do that. Otherwise, my plan goes to shit. Yes. I want to be even more unhinged with my AI over here. This is the kind of stream that I have. I normally play retro games. Sometimes I play a few modern games that are interesting, but we are all very sussy and flirty over here. So I think your raiders will be welcome in my chat. Now, let me take a sip of water. My water is actually running out today. True? Yes, he agrees. He knows what's going on here. What happens here? Anyway, I think I'll continue now. We are reading about, what was the chapter about? Making some quotes, making some important quotes over here, because you found on the test that one should avoid being hated and despised. Yes, Machiavelli has some very good ways of words. He's actually very insightful with the things he does, with the things he says. They all make extreme sense. So sometimes you have to just disagree on principle, but it makes sense. Unfortunately, he makes too much sense. It is frightening the amount of sense he makes. Now we'll be on chapter 20. Are castles and many other things which princes often use advantageous or hurtful. Yes, studying old books about medieval politics. Because I am a fantasy writer, and fantasy is always 90% medieval than anywhere else. Yeah. Moving on. Some princes, in order to hold the state securely, have disarmed their subjects. Others have kept their subject towns divided by setting up opposing groups. Others have encouraged attacks against themselves. Others have tried to win over those whom they did not trust in the beginning of their government. Some have built castles, some have destroyed them. One cannot give a final judgment on all of these things unless one possesses the particular details of those states in which a decision has to be made. Nevertheless, I will speak as comprehensively as possible on these matters. Let's send a little word over here. Next paragraph. There never was a new prince who has disarmed his subjects. Rather, when he has found them disarmed, he has always armed them. By arming them, those arms become yours. Those men who are distrusted become faithful, and those who are faithful are kept so, and your subjects become your supporters. Although all subjects cannot be armed, yet when those whom you do arm are benefited, the others can be handled more freely. This difference in their treatment, which they quite understand, makes the former your supporters, and the latter, considering it to be necessary that those who have the most danger and service should have the most reward, excuse you. But when you disarm them, you at once offend them by showing that you distrust them, either for cowardice or for lack of loyalty. Either of these opinions creates hatred against you, and because you cannot remain unarmed, it follows that you turn to mercenaries, which are of the character already shown. Even if they happen to be good, they will not be sufficient to defend you against powerful enemies and distrusted subjects. Therefore, as I have said, a new prince in a principality has always distributed arms. History is full of examples, but when a prince acquires a new state, which he adds to his old one, then it is necessary to disarm the men of that state, except those who have helped him in acquiring it. These people, with time and opportunity, should be made soft and weak, and matters should be managed in such a way that all armed men in the state should be your own soldiers who in your old state were living near. Okay, there is a lot of things to read about on this chapter. I always keep trying to decipher each chapter, finding the most important parts about him, because never would disarm his subjects. Rather, when he has found them disarmed, he has always armed them. There was never a new prince who has disarmed his subjects. It's curious. Not sure if I agree, but I guess by new he means, when he says new prince, he means like a leader who's still unstable. Who's still unstable and growing in power. So if you're a new prince, you want to grow your power, not reduce it. So you arm your people. You need to arm your people instead of reducing your power by disarming them. Because if they're your people, supposedly these people are going to be loyal to you. That's why you have to arm them. You give advantages and benefits to the people who follow you. Second Amendment. I'm not American, so I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know exactly the philosophy of the Second Amendment, but I guess that's true. Do not disarm. Yeah. Everyone has an arm to bear rights. Everyone has an arm to bear rights. I'm not American, so don't quote me on that, but everyone has an arm to bear arms. To bear rights. Has an arm to bear rights. By arming them, those arms becomes yours. Those men who were distrusted become faithful, and those who were faithful are kept so. subjects become your supporters. Okay, this is also an interesting quote. Let me highlight this. I keep highlighting important quotes, not like this. I kept highlighting sorted quotes, and then I kept saving them on side. Wait, no, I highlighted too much. There we go. Just this. Oh, subjects, yet though, and those whom you do armor benefited, the others can be handled more freely. Okay, yes, you increase your power. Now you increase your arm those you can, increasing your power, and now you have more power to deal with those you cannot arm because they're dangerous. This difference in their treatment, which they quite understand, makes the former your supporters and the latter consider to be necessary, that those who have the most danger and service should be the most reward. Excuse you. Well, yeah, if the people you cannot arm, they're not exactly gonna excuse. They're gonna be like, yeah, okay, yeah, they'll kinda excuse you, because the people who cannot arm are people who are dangerous, and they know they're dangerous. They most likely know they're dangerous, and they likely know why you're not arming them. But they're still gonna be like shitting on you because you're arming people against them. They're still gonna be threatened. So saying that they're gonna excuse you, saying that your enemies that you have not armed would excuse you for arming you're arming your allies, that's not exactly the most, I don't know, it's not exactly the phrasing that I was actually using. I'll say they would, even saying that they would understand, it's not you become wary. Yes. Oh well, I guess there's no other way to phrase this aside from saying excuse you. When you disarm them, moving on. When you disarm them, you at once offend them by showing that you distrust them, either for cowardice or for lack of loyalty. However, these opinions creates hatred against you, and because you cannot remain unarmed, it follows that you turn to mercenaries, whichever the character already shown. Yeah, and Machiavelli hates mercenaries. Machiavelli thinks that being evil is better than hiring a mercenary. he thinks that mercenaries are worse than the devil, even if they have happened to be good. Ads in 3 minutes. I guess I'll postpone ads a few times, losing a few times, so that we get a few more minutes of stream, and then I'm gonna end it. Because these streams are tiring, and my voice is starting to become a slightly strained, and I'd rather not. 3 hours of constant talking does that to you. Even if they happen to be good, they will not be sufficient to defend you against powerful enemies and distrusted objects. Mercs only loyal to money, exactly. They're only loyal to money. Why would they die for you? You already got paid. Why would a mercenary die to you? They have no honor, they have no obligations. If there's even a chance that they die for it, they are good as thugs. Thugs to scare innocents, but the moment that the mercenary is under threat, they break and run. Because why would the fuck would they die? Unless they're dumb as fuck. Unless they're dumb as fuck, they're gonna die for you. And mercenaries who are dumb as fuck, they don't stay mercenaries for long. They become dead very quickly. Therefore, as I've said, a new prince, in a new principality has always distributed arms. Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Here is full of examples, but a prince requires a new state, which he adds to his old one, then it's necessary to desire the main of that state, except those who have helped him reacquire. But when a new prince acquires a new state, which he adds to his old one, then it is necessary to desire the main of that state, except those who have helped him in acquiring it. This is another good quote, but how do you know? Okay, new princes arm, it's here, established princes disarm. But when do you know which one you are? Because it is not a binary thing, it's a thing that's in flux. Just an alternative early retirement. Yeah, they're just gonna rest on a grave, but they're gonna be resting. On a grave, but they're gonna be resting. These people with time and opportunity should be made soft and weak, and matters should be managed in such a way that all the armed men in the state should be your own soldiers when your old state were living near you. Okay. I guess when you're expanding your power, you arm people who are loyal to you until you have armed everyone who's loyal. then when you actually conquer someone, you disarm them because they are not loyal to you. That is the crux of the matter. Arm the loyals, disarm the disloyals. Weaken them. Weaken the people who are not loyal. Now, next paragraph. Those who were considered to be wise were accustomed to say that it was necessary to hold Pistoia by opposing groups and Pisa by castle. Oh. Another example of history. Sometimes the examples of history that he uses are okay, but sometimes they're kind of boring. With this idea, they encourage quarrels in some of their acquired towns so as to keep possession of them more easily. Oh. Okay, now this one is interesting. This one is intrigue. They raise intrigue in their own territories to make it easier to hold them. So they're accustomed to say that it was necessary to hold Pistoia by opposing groups and Pisa by castles. They encourage quarrels in some of their acquired towns so as to keep possessions of them more easily. This may have been good enough in those times when Italy was in a way balanced, but I do not believe that it can be accepted as a rule for today. I do not believe that opposed groups can ever be of use. Rather, it is certain that when the enemy comes upon you in divided cities, you are quickly lost. Because the weakest party will always assist the outside forces and the other will not be able to resist. The Venetians, influenced as I believe by the above reasons, encouraged the Guelph and the Ghibelline groups in their acquired cities. Although they never allowed them to start killing each other, yet they nursed these arguments amongst them, so that the citizens, caught up in their differences, were not united against them. This is actual intrigue. Interesting intrigue. Something that actually happened in real life. This is not just a writer being cliche or something and trying to. This actually happened in real life. Thus, as we saw, did not afterwards turn out as expected, because when the Venetians were beaten at Vela, one party at once took courage and seized the state. Such methods therefore show weakness in the prince, because these opposing groups would never be permitted in a strong principality. Such methods for enabling one to manage subjects more easily are only useful in times of peace, but if war comes, those policies are a mistake. Okay, so it was not actually that good of a thing that they did it. Methods for enabling one to manage the more easily are only useful in times of peace, but if war comes, this policy is a mistake. Okay. Let me. Oh, I don't want you. Here we go. These quotes go together, actually. These two quotes go together. Oh shit. Oh, I could add comments though. I could add comments. I forgot there's this feature. But, oh well, already too late. Now. Let me actually reread this part since I did not observe it. Opposed groups can be ever be of use. I do not believe that opposed groups can ever be of use. Rather, it's certain that when the enemy comes upon you in divided cities, you're quickly lost, because the weakest party will always assist the outside forces, and the other will not be able to resist. Okay, this one is also interesting. More quotes. 3 quotes that go together. 3 quotes that go together, because yes, it makes sense. In a divided city, there's always gonna be one place that's weaker, one that's weaker than the other. So what's the most obvious thing that's gonna happen? One is weak, the other is strong. There's a new enemy on the horizon. What's gonna happen? The strong wants to keep the city under control because they have the control. But the weak, they'll look at the other side first because they want to change control. Thank you for redeeming the first Bunkan. Congrats, you get a whole night with grammar. You can do anything you want. Remember, she's pretty good with illusions. So yeah. Again, I kind of... Okay, I got distracted for something else. Recapping my point that... recapping my point that I kind of lost the trail of the thought that I was going for. If you have a divided city, there's always two groups. One that's strong and has control, and one that's weak, that's oppressed and does not have control. If an enemy approaches the city... How far into the story are you? It's not exactly a story. It is a learning book. I am on page 34 or 43. I guess one more stream, I guess. One more stream. And I'll finish it. Hopefully one more stream. 5 stream streak. Thank you, Mikoto, for watching me so often. I appreciate that quite a lot, my cute little fox. Now, back to the point I was trying to make. Or I lose myself again. There's always in a divided city, there's always two groups. One that's strong and in control, one that's weak and oppressed. When an enemy approaches, the strong wants to remain in control. The strong group wants to remain in control of the city. So the weak group is the one that's actually gonna be looking for the outside force to help them. But what if... this is something that I want to think about. What if the strong group actually wants help from the outside forces to destroy the weaker group? What then? Guess these things are not exactly always very stable, but I guess the question is, why would the strong group look for the outside force? I guess if they are in a battle. Words are hard. I guess if the strong group senses that they're gonna lose anyway, they might as well just go for the outside forces and ask for help. Ask for the help for the invaders. Bow down to the invaders first. But then the weak group will also bow down to invaders, and then the invaders are like, who do I choose? Who would you choose? You could choose the strong group. That seems the most stable choice. But if you're actually Machiavellian, you choose the weaker group. Why? Because you divide and conquer. You make the weak group become dependent on your power. So they keep the other group, so they have power, and now they depend on you, and they oppress the big group, keeping them under control. It's not the most healthy, like I said, it's not the most healthy strategy. It feels like you're abusing your husband, but it is effective. I just don't know if in the long term it's actually more viable, because that's kind of what matters, though. That also matters. If you're in an unstable situation, yeah, choose the most stable first. Choose the one that will bring more stability at the beginning. But if your situation is if you want long-lasting peace, who would you choose? You would have to choose the stronger group, or maybe neither at all. Or maybe neither at all. Actually, if both groups bow down to you, you choose neither of them. You keep them both as things were. I think that's the least disruptive. That'll be the least disruptive strategy you could take. Quite a complicated matter, quite a complicated question, quite a complicated situation. And it feels interesting though, feels dynamic. I feel like I could use this on my story, because in one part of the current arc, the main character will be trying to conquer a belligerent people. So he could use this underhanded method to assume control of them. Because he does not want to exterminate these people. He wants to conquer them. He wants to rule over them on long term. But they are like a completely different culture, and they are very hostile to him. So how does he do that? Does he divide and conquer? Does he appeal to them? How does he actually rule over them without losing his control over them the moment he looks away? Because they are very, how do you call it? independent themselves. These are the good things that come out about reading this, giving me ideas. This is the point of doing this stream. Did I just save? Okay, I think it's saved. Anyway, good day, mate. Hello, Risto. Hi. You've arrived just as the ending, honestly. Just as... Oh, shit, halfway to VIP. Oh, shit, you actually... Halfway to VIP. How many points do you have? 30,000, I guess? Shit. That is a lot of points. Thank you for lurking so much, Risto. Thank you for lurking so much, Risto. Yep. Unfortunate timing, though. Unfortunate times. I need to do some... I could push the stream a bit later, though. Start a bit later. You are one of my favorite streams. I thought you look when I came. Oh, thank you, Risto. Thank you. I do lurk a lot on your streams too. I think I have over 50,000 points on your streams. Because you're always playing something when I wake up, so I'm like I'm just gonna deal with my drowsiness while I listen to something. You're always playing something different too. Hell yeah, hell yeah. Just lurking each other's chat. I guess you have some like 30,000 points. Thank you for lurking so much. I really appreciate that. But yes, I still have to set up on a time, honestly, for these streams. I guess I can end it. I guess I can start it like midday and 30. Like midday and 30. Started midday today. No, I started a bit late because I was late. I can start at midday 30. And end it right now. But it has to be in the afternoon, these streams. I can't stand doing studying on a Friday night anymore. But that's pretty much it for today. My throat is starting to get a bit tired. So let's look for someone to raid. Who's online right now? Studying sucks? It kinda does. Kinda does. I can say that it's not sucky over here because I'm doing this because I wanna learn and become a better writer, so I am motivated and determined, but it takes motivation. It takes motivation and determination to do this. So it is not the easiest stream for me to do, honestly. This is why I also do only 3 hours, so it's less heavy on me. Now, who can I raid? Who can I raid? Anyone doing anything special today? Always. I do have a lot of people now that are playing. You know what? Mog is playing Terra Enigma. Mog is playing Terra Enigma. There's Undead Phoenix. He's playing Hunt Showdown. I don't think I've raided Mog. There's also Lane. Oh, Lane is streaming. No, I already raided Charlie some time ago. Colon Key. Actually, a lot of people that I don't raid are on this time. So it's kind of interesting. A lot of people that I don't raid are online at this time. It's kind of interesting. Don't think I raided Mog yet, or lately. So let's just give him a little bit of love this time. Seizo love, because he's a Seizo dude. He's a Seizo. Seizo, how do you call it? Seizo Nightman. Anyway, I'll be streaming tomorrow, late night. Will be Shooter Saturday. 7 p.m, 6 p.m. What's the time for Americans? I use the Eastern US time, which is -5. It's gonna be 6 p.m. actually. Blackthorn for this NES. Sunday collab with Lapis, as always. Gonna be playing Moon Hunters. It could be a kind of a short game, so we could play Baroni after if we finish too early. But that's pretty much for the rest of the week, and then we'll see next week how things go, because next week is gonna be wild, and the next after that. But that is much it for me. Take care of your waifus, take care of your husbandos. Tomorrow, Grimmer is gonna start the milking now. Goodbye. See you all next time. Here's your raid message that I forgot.